right, what do you got?
I think I can prove to a judge that both of these men had the mens rea.
What the hell is a mens rea?
It's a legal term the lawyers use. It just means the intention to commit a crime.
Okay, come on, let's go.
Mens rea?
Put the cuffs on him.
How could we have gotten mens rea? We take blood? Can you do it without taking blood? We both use condoms. How is this possible? I want to see a doctor. Can I have an independent blood test?
Money!
I feel sick.
What are you doing?
Mens rea! Oh! Oh! My God! No!
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Whoever you are, whatever you're doing, whoever you're doing it with, however good it feels, however many times you plan on doing it, and why you're doing it in the first place, I'm just glad you're here doing it. With me, Legal Vices, on my little old YouTube channel that I cleverly call Legal Vices. See how that works? I'm a genius. Oh, and speaking of geniuses, we got some stuff going on today. You know, it is Monday. It is supposed to be Maritime Monday, but frankly, there's just too much going on with the Murdoch trial, with this new jury tampering allegations. Things are developing day by day. So unfortunately for Maritime Monday viewers, we've got to do this. We got to feed the algorithm. But in addition to feeding the algorithm, it is actually a really, really interesting story. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. Developments in this. We've got jurors coming forward. We've got lawyers for jurors coming forward. We've got Becky Hill giving interviews. We've got lawyers. It's all over the place today. And people are starting to come out of the woodwork here. And we've got to worry about that and look at some of the details that are happening there. But all at the expense of Maritime Monday. Let's hope for next Monday to get back on track with Maritime Monday. But well, let's see. We got several little back of that. And first of all, if you're coming on replay, just skip ahead to about the 12-minute mark. That's my target today to start hitting some of this stuff about the 12-minute mark. We got a few things to discuss before we get into the meat and the bones of the Murdoch jury tampering scandal. So fast forward to about 12 minutes if you don't want to hear all this housekeeping stuff. Well, first of all, we had a very nice members only stream yesterday. Yeah, it was quite nice. It's been a little over a month, I think, since we did last. It could have been 2 months. But we had a good discussion. Some of the discussion centered around Absinthe, and I said that I would take a little bit of time today to kind of show you the difference between a real absinthe and a fake absinthe. And color is one of them. But when you use such small amounts, they look pretty much identical to each other. This is the real one. This is the fake one. They smell different from the beginning. I mean, you can't smell along at home. This just smells like vodka. This smells like herbs and star anise and black licorice. But I guess I can't show you the bottle because it's a black bottle. It's a smoky. Well, I guess it's like a dark brown bottle. But if your absinthe looks bright green, like neon green, like it could glow in the dark, that's a good sign it's fake. And also, if you look on the back here, it says anise seed flavored spirit. That means vodka flavored to taste like star anise or anise seed. But then if you look at the other stuff, it says right there in big red. We can't see it because it's out of focus. Focus on this camera. You're not going to, are you? There you go. With wormwood right there. That's a good sign. But again, there's the two different kinds. All right, now it's not going to focus on me. There we go. Nope. God dang it. Talk to the hand, camera. Back off, back off, back off. Hey, there we go. 110 proof, so it's a higher proof. That's also a good sign. And it says right here, Artemisia absinthium. That is the wormwood you want to look for. That is the grand wormwood. That is what they have in real absinthe. So yeah, look for those two things. We don't have time to show you how it loaches, but as I was saying, if you use ice cold water, you drip it over a sugar cube, and then when it collects, it should turn a kind of a milky, creamy, yellowy white color. And that is a guarantee you have real absinthe. But that is not our cocktail of the day. Our cocktail of the day is not even a cocktail. Today's whiskey is Scotch. It is ALEX Scotch. It is from Islay, which is where all the good, like really peaty, smoky Irish, fuck me. Let's try. Sorry, people in Ireland and Scotland for that. Today's whiskey, the whiskey of the day is ALEX. It comes from the island of Islay in Scotland, where all of the good, peaty, heavy scotches come from. So today, let's give that a little bit of a taste. Right there on the nose. Ah, there's that familiar Islay smoky, peaty smell with a little bit of citrus on the end there. Ooh, starting to burn the nose, getting a little bit too close. This is a oh, that's why it's burning the nose. It's 58% alcohol. I thought it was 40%. It is not 40%. Yeah, so you get that smoky peatiness, but it's more smoke than peat. There it is. That's the Ardbeg, the Lagavulin kind of peat. It smells smoky, but tastes peaty. That's an interesting thing. And it does taste like a 58% alcohol. So if you like some good peaty scotches with a bit of a vanilla finish going on right now, maybe a little hint of chocolate and some dark roasted coffee, get yourself some ALEX from the island of Islay in Scotland. The ALEX peated Islay malt. That's today's whiskey that I will be nursing. I have no idea what to do with those fake and real absinthe things, but we'll figure something out. Okay. Why are we not drinking the absinthe? Because if you just did a shot of absinthe, you're kind of dumb, and and it takes a lot of time to do the loaching and pouring. Tomorrow I'll try to sort of start about 5 minutes before the show, so it'll be ready to go about the time this show starts. If it has to be brut, or if it has to be distilled in Scotland to be Scotch, does the guy that opens the barrel have to be named Scott as well? No. And all right, we do have a few things that have come in before we get the show on the road here. Stingy member for 10 months says, "Oh, 10 months. Morning, Law Rex. That is all." Thank you, Stingy. Great to see you here, and congratulations on getting a free chat, and thank you for your support over the last 10 months. Coming close to that is Frozen Flame Manzria with a member for 7 months. Thank you so much for your support as well for 7 long months, Frozen Flame. And been there, done that. Utah Homie, member for 9 months. 9 months of loin fire. And I found out what's wrong with my Stream Deck. Apparently it reset itself, and I have to reinstall every single sound on my Stream Deck. So even if it had been on, we still couldn't have done the bone steel thing. For those of you that know, you know. And William Brown. If you like smoky, see if you can get some Balcones Brimstone. It is interesting for sure. I've never had Balcones. The Texas whiskeys I've had are Yellow Rose. I've had all of the Yellow Rose offerings, and I think almost all of the TX whiskeys. I've never had Balcones. It doesn't exist here in Korea, and they apparently don't sell it in Utah either. So yeah, that would be a nice whiskey to have. I've always been curious. So thank you very much for that $5 super chat. All right, well, that takes care of the booze of the day. The hat is beige. My hat is not beige. My hat is cream colored, unless you're talking about a different hat. This hat is cream color. I don't know. I just saw chat. I have no idea what you guys talk about before I see the message. But we also have, as we start and launch into this wonderful update on the ALEX Murdaugh the ALEX Murdaugh trial, jury tampering extravaganza scandal, we do have our daily like and subscribe poll. 474 of you here now, 200 and something likes, 209 likes, 170 of you, 270 of you haven't done your job. Holy crap. People, that's 2/3 of you or something. Lawyers can't do math, but it's still 260 of you now that haven't done your job. Get down there and hit that like button and make sure. How can we have 331 votes on the like and subscribe poll and only 236 likes? You guys have cheated. 100 of you have cheated on the poll. Repent. Get down there, hit the like button, even though I've literally given you nothing to like yet. I swear I will. Trust me on that. Let's get those likes up. Thank you so much. And hit the subscribe button. I really hope to earn your subscription today, because that would be the most pleasing thing I could do. And if you are subscribed or think you're still subscribed, just double check to make sure you are, because we lose subscribers frequently. We're an even 500 viewers and we're up to 300 likes. So cool. We're closing the gap, 200 gap difference. And take our like and subscribe poll. Today's like and subscribe poll is, what is your opinion on the alleged jury misconduct? There must be a new trial. Becky Hill didn't do nothing. And Megan Fox should read the book live and just I have to explain the because the was severe on Twitter yesterday. Holy crap. A viewer had posted a few clips of Megan Fox and I covering this the other day, reading from Becky Hill's book, talking about these things. And a holy sweet baby Jesus in a manger. Did people get upset about that? And what do you think they got upset about? They didn't get upset about him killing people, or they didn't get upset. What they got upset about, and it went on for a very, very long time, about Megan's really bad Southern accent. I mean, the was strong. The was so strong. And and we'll talk a little bit about this later. And I'll tell you what, if I can get all the important stuff out of the way, that's good. If I can get all the important stuff out of the way, we'll just read through that that thread at the end of the program today. It was the stupidest thing you've ever seen in your life. Holy crap. It convinced me that there's people that are so rabidly anti somebody else. They're not even pro somebody. They're anti someone so much that they'll latch onto the stupidest thing, like a Rottweiler or a pit bull, and just hang on and shake you about this one thing while ignoring 975 other things that make them look foolish and idiotic. Plus, they're doing it all without even the slightest hint of the merest inkling of the possibility of having a sense of humor. Holy sweet crap. It was bad and it was dumb, and it was the big R word and not the word. Well, it starts with and it ends with a few other letters. But yeah, it was stupid. And we'll throw out a little bits of tidbits of information and comments on it as we go along. But boy, they were coming after Megan Fox. They were coming after me for reasons like her accent was the big one. And then there was one other point which we'll bring up as things go along. But it was dumb. I mean, I swear to God. Ugh. Where are we at here? William Brown, we got yours. Pin King 554, the $5 super chat. Moment of silence for the 2,996 Americans who died 22 years ago. I remember where I was. Exactly where I think that's kind of my generation's Kennedy assassination. I was at my friend's house talking to my friend. Got in the car, drove about 5 minutes, and I had the radio on, and I was listening to Korean radio, and it was like a bad AM signal. And I heard the words and I understood the words, but my brain is telling me they can't be those words. I thought, okay, I must have completely lost my ability to understand Korean, because I think they said that one of the Twin Towers had been knocked down by a plane. And I was like, well, what? So I called my friend and said, dude, turn on your TV right now and tell me what's going on. He said, what do you mean? I said, just turn it on, because whatever, if it'll be on any channel you turn it on to. And then it just got very, very quiet on the other end of the phone. And there was an oh my God or some other expletive. And then it was a race home to watch the news. So yeah, 2,996 Americans died 22 years ago. 9/11. And baby meatball, member for 1 month, retrial. That was good. I like that. I like the retrial. From here on out, we're going to be dubbing the, I swear, thank you, baby meatball, for that, because from here on out, this whole scandal is going to be called the retrial scandal, because there is so much going on out there. Kyle Ratliff, of all the Depp sidebar coverage, yours is my favorite. Oh, thank you very much, because we're going to be back tomorrow and Wednesday with more Johnny Depp Amber Heard sidebar dramatic readings with my usual cast of characters, even though I have no idea what's really happening through the bad accents. Well, that's part of the fun, because the bad accents are what got Megan Fox in trouble in the ALEX Murdaugh thing. But again, we'll talk about that as the evening goes on, or my evening and your morning, afternoon, whatever it is. Stingy, Draters, they're all Draters. The re is strong. And Jill Higgins is a new member. Welcome to being a new member, Jill Higgins. Jill Higgins is a member of the Bent Halos and Broken Wings tier. Thank you very, very much for that. And please join us for our members only streams as they happen. Wow. All right. We are all caught up with that. So we're only a few minutes later than I thought. So let's get into this. We've got a lot to, like I said, we got a lot of ground to cover. There's a lot of things to talk about, because this is a very, very dynamic situation. For just a quick background for those of you that aren't familiar with this, but there's 629 of you here now, so I assume that you're familiar with it. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't be here. But basically what happens is the trial is over. Alex Murdaugh is found guilty of a double murder. He's sentenced to jail for the rest of his life. The lawyers go around. His lawyers want to go around and talk to the jury about things. None of the jurors want to talk to him. Then the clerk of court, which is not the court clerk, different person. The clerk of court is an elected position in South Carolina, and she's the clerk of court for this area, I guess. And she comes out with a book talking about some private things that jurors had said, some private things that happened in the judge's chambers, some discussions that were had. And then 3 jurors come out of the woodwork and, independent of each other, approach Alex Murdaugh's lawyers and tell them about the behavior of the clerk of court, Rebecca, quote unquote, Becky Hill, her alleged behavior, which was highly prejudicial, in telling jurors, alleged, these are all the allegations that are coming out from 3 independent people. And also she's telling them that, don't be fooled by what the defendant said. Don't believe him. Even though you had smoke breaks throughout the trial, you're not allowed to have a smoke break until you come back with a jury with a verdict. It shouldn't take that long to come back with a verdict. Apparently an allegedly manufacturing a Facebook post from the ex-husband of one of the jurors, talking about how she was talking about the trial, and they got drunk, and then he allegedly reposted a retraction and deleted the original post. But it turns out that wasn't his account. It wasn't him. He knew nothing about it. He hasn't seen his wife in like 10 years. They haven't talked other than about their kid for 10 years. And so everything's starting to crumble around. And that opens up this whole can of worms, where the defense lawyer asks the judge to suspend the appeals process and then to have a hearing on whether or not to have a new trial. So that's where we are facing a potential retrial. And that's where we'll start today's show. That is a background. Well, and the lawyers are going, lawyers on all sides are going way out of their way not to cast aspersions on the judge. But it was in the book. I believe it was in the book. And it was definitely in the court record where the clerk of court, Becky Hill, interrogated this juror about her husband's posts and whatnot. Oh, and mysteriously, nobody ever saw the original post. She just said it was there. But they interrogated the juror, and eventually she was dismissed. Exactly why she was dismissed is kind of up in the air at the moment, but the allegations are that she was doubtful on how she would vote, and the clerk of court wanted her off the jury, and so manufactured this whole scenario to get her booted from the jury. Lots of allegations flying around. The first story we're going to look at today is a story about learning a little bit more about who this person is. Who is, oh, see, now I've got them all in wonky order here. Hang on. I have to unwonk these things. All right. Going backwards. All right. I am officially unwonked. Present this screen. This is our first story. Meet Becky Hill. Let's embiggen Becky. Who is Becky Hill? The clerk of court accused of jury tampering in the ALEX Murdaugh trial. There she is. Dun, dun, dun. There's a little bit of background of the case, and then we get into this part here. Who is Becky Hill? In the book, Hill describes herself as a bit of a legal eagle. Already. Oh, and by the way, the dogs are already huffing and puffing and snoring up a storm over here. I think, yeah, Strawberry's gone off somewhere. It's just Yoda hyperventilating behind me. Yeah, she describes herself as, hey, Strawberry, you heard your name, didn't you, little puppers? Yes. Describes herself as a bit of a legal eagle. If her describing herself that way, to me, is a red flag that she's telling you, hey, she's smarter than all of you. She's smarter than you, the reader, so, and she's very, very interested in this subject. She is the clerk of court, and we'll find out a little bit more about her, but legal eagle to me in this context sort of seems to be kind of a glorified true crime box wine mom thing. But yeah, so she describes herself as a bit of a legal eagle whose entire career had led up to her being elected Colleton County's clerk of court. Her entire life was just pointing her in that direction. At the time of the trial, Hill was a relatively new clerk. While she had worked as a court reporter for over a decade, she had been elected to the position of Colleton County Clerk of Court in November 2020. So previously, she'd been a middle school teacher, worked in the state and local disability agency, held administrative roles in law offices before working as a court reporter for 14 years. Yeah, so her career trajectory was become a middle school teacher, work for a disability agency, work for some law firms, work as a court reporter for 14 years, and then run for election. But after starting as a freelance court reporter, Hill became an official court reporter for the state of South Carolina in 2008. She wrote in her book, she was assigned to Judge Perry M. Bucker, the administrative judge for the 14th Circuit, which covers Allendale, Hampton, Colleton, Jasper, and Beaufort counties, or Beaufort, not sure how you pronounce it down there. Don't want to get the pronunciation people angry at you. It was in this position when she first met ALEX Murdaugh. It bugs me that his name is Alex and he calls himself Alec, and it's Murdaugh and he calls himself Murdoch. So anyway, ALEX Murdaugh and his father Randolph, who served as a 14th Circuit solicitor. She describes in the book seeing both Murdochs around the courthouse and described a wonderful charm that seemed to have been passed down between generations. In fact, Hill's family and the Murdochs had been entwined for generations. And as are many families that are in the rural, sparsely populated corner of the Low Country, we'll just let you fill in the blanks as to what that might possibly mean, where many, many families are intertwined in sparsely populated areas. Hill recounted that her granddaddy Felder Hires, a mechanic by trade, but moonshiner by nature, ran an illegal liquor store with Buster Murdoch, Alex's grandfather, who was serving as solicitor at the time. Well, great. So here she's being anecdotal, cute, and fun. Meanwhile, pointing to the solicitor running an illegal liquor still at the time he's a solicitor, casting aspersions on the Murdoch name going back at least 3 generations. And Hill believed Murdoch was guilty. In the opening chapter of her memoir, Hill is clear about how she saw the outcome of the trial. I was mostly concerned about Alec being found innocent when I knew in my heart he was guilty. That is a damning statement to me. In and of itself, it doesn't mean there was any misconduct, but she is the clerk of the court. It's not her business to be mostly concerned about Alex being found innocent when I knew he was guilty. That's not her position. You can worry about it privately and off the record, but not in a book you published using your title, clerk of court. Because that sort of points to a bias, and that raises the question, how concerned were you about Alec being found innocent? Were you so concerned that you may have done something illegal or improper to influence the jury or to taint the process? Hill says that she was convinced of Murdoch's guilt after visiting Moselle with the jury near the end of the trial. Hill described viewing the kennels where Maggie and Paul were gunned down. While the jurors viewed the Moselle property, we could all hear and see that Alex's story was impossible. Some of us, either from the courthouse, law enforcement, or jury at Moselle, had an epiphany and shared our thoughts with our eyes. What the hell does that mean? How do you know what the jury was thinking at Moselle? How did you share our thoughts with your eyes? Sharing your thoughts with the jury with your mouth is wrong, but is this an admission of guilt? We shared our thoughts with our eyes. Were you in the jury? All right, I need to embiggen myself here. Were you in the jury looking at each other like, oh yeah, he's innocent. I mean, were you literally communicating with your eyes in a way that you conveyed that you happened to know he was guilty? You're like, yeah, I don't like the way that reads at all. Oh, I am bigging this too much here. Yeah. Hill said that she was convinced of the game visiting. Okay, there we go. While the jurors viewed Moselle property, we could all see and hear that Alex's story is impossible. Some of us, either from the courthouse, law enforcement, or jury at Moselle, had an epiphany and shared our thoughts with our eyes. At that moment, any of us standing there knew, I knew, and they knew that Alex was guilty. Well, you must literally have communicated with your eyes to know that they knew he was guilty. This is a bad sentence for her. Hill also recounted arriving at this conclusion with other court employees in the car on the hour-long drive back to the courthouse. Just as the jury would do in a span of 3 hours, we unanimously came to our own verdict in just 3 minutes. Guilty, Hill wrote. Now, this is the one thing that the people on Twitter, the dare we call them ladies of Twitter, because they were unanimously across the board women. One was reportedly a South Carolina lawyer. The other just seemed to be full of herself. They latched down to the fact that maybe Megan and I had misinterpreted this or misread this while we were kind of, just having fun reading this thing, where we may have understood it to mean that she was writing with some of the jury. But and then that was the one thing they latched onto for this incredibly long stream. They were in different vehicles. You guys suck. You're a wannabe. You guys don't know anything about law. You're dumb. You're just like these insults are just coming fast and furious. And that was the one thing they were latched onto. That was their one criticism, that we said that she was in the car with the I don't even know if we said that. We may have, but yeah, that was what they latched onto. and just, berating and the calling names and casting aspersions and saying we're threatening them. It was so ridiculous. Ignore the fact that she's interviewing the one of the jurors, interrogating one of the jurors alone, admittedly, that everyone admits to happened. Not telling the judge what was going on, taking it upon herself to determine whether or not they get smoke breaks, telling them that they're going to have to be hauled off to a hotel, telling them that, it shouldn't take that long, telling them that, not to listen to the evidence presented by the defense. And the list goes on and on and on, but they latched onto that one thing where we mistakenly said or suggested that they might possibly have ridden in the same vehicle as the jury. And it got so bad. There's just dumb stories like, where are we at here? Yeah, this woman here, I like this. This was just in one of the messages she posted, and this one was sent to me. I would hope that you are ethical and that you would attach an apology to your own video on YouTube before it gets reported and taken down. Dun, dun, dun. So this woman that's accusing Megan and I of threatening her, and we'll get to that in a bit too. That was pretty hilarious because we weren't. Megan, okay, really quickly. Megan Fox said, we were talking about something. They said, you're not funny. And Megan said something like, well, I am funny. I have a special set of skills. And so I went and I just put this, okay, we know what your YouTube channel is. It was not YouTube, it was Twitter. It was just the Liam Neeson taken speech made to look like, we were going to post funny comments. And they're like, you're threatening us. So this woman's accusing me of threatening her in a joking manner is actually literally threatening to have things taken down. I mean, just the factor was so off the hook. But like I said, we'll get to that later if we have time at the end. And if I keep rambling on like this, we probably won't. So I should probably just let it go. But it was so funny, and it kept me awake till like 3 o'clock in the morning. Oh dear. Let's see. Where are we? Sorry, I just had another tweet I was reading. These are so stupid. Right. So Hill traveled with jurors after the trial. That was true. They went to New York afterwards. The day after the trial, Hill accompanied 3 of the jurors to be interviewed on the Today Show and Dateline in New York City. It was on this trip that Hill says she learned that one juror who thought he wasn't going to be able to serve because he needed to work in order to make child support payments received money from 3 friends so that he could stay on the jury. Hill also described the experience of being picked up at LaGuardia Airport in New York City in a black Chevy Tahoe and being driven into Manhattan, where they were put up at a hotel and had the opportunity to eat at a restaurant on Madison Avenue. The jurors told me they felt like they were heard and loved their 15 minutes of fame in the Big Apple. And also, she was passing out media name cards to the jurors before the verdict came in, telling them that they could be famous and whatnot. So were any of these jurors, were any of them influenced by that, thinking, wow, if we come back with a guilty verdict, I can go to New York and I can be on national television and I can have my 15 minutes of fame? Was that idea put in their heads? These are some of the problems that they have to look at. And removing the juror in Hill's own words, one incident that has drawn particular scrutiny is the dismissal of juror 758. She was one of the eggs, who was removed from the jury after Hill says she found a Facebook post Hill said she believed to be from the woman's ex-husband, which it turns out it wasn't, claiming the juror had said she already knew what her verdict was going to be. In Hill's memoir, she writes that she saw the post on a local Facebook group, Hampton Word of Mouth, late on a Friday night, but didn't think much of it. I felt like a principal dealing with tattletales and problems and issues every day. It was tiring, Hill wrote. She writes, and see, you're going to hear out of her own mouth her saying that these jurors were so sweet. They bonded so quickly. They were a prayerful group, and they did all of these things. But here she's saying she's dealing with tattletales and problems every day, and apparently the jury isn't getting along. Well, she writes that on the following Monday, Judge Clifton Newman asked her to find the post, but neither Hill nor her court staff were able to find the original post. It may not even have existed. Instead, they found that the post had been taken down, allegedly taken down, and not just made up, and an apology from the poster who had said that he had been drinking and had let Satan control him. Newman decided to relieve the juror after interviewing her and corroborating witnesses, Hill wrote. But in the filings, Murdoch's attorney alleged that Hill took a far more active role, accuses Hill of conducting one-on-one interviews with the juror, where she allegedly described the post as saying the juror had gone drinking with her ex-husband, which is absolutely false. They hadn't seen each other in like 10 years. And this is all in the record, where the judge said, I am really not happy with her interrogating jurors. Hill also allegedly lied and told the juror that SLED and Colleton County Sheriff's Office personnel went to the ex-husband's house, where he confirmed he made up the post. Yeah, and then he only later learned that the juror and her ex-spouse had not seen each other in 14 years, I guess 14 years, and that the juror had 3 restraining orders against her husband. In an affidavit signed by the juror, which was submitted as part of the Hill appeal, the juror says that she told Hill that she has not seen her ex-husband in 10 years. Okay. Yeah, so that's who she is. That's kind of the intro into this particular person, Becky Hill. She's a legal eagle. You know, she communicates with the jurors with her eyes. But the thing that the article didn't mention about that particular Facebook post was she said that she saw it several days after the apology was posted. So the apology was posted. The original letter allegedly was posted. The original post was allegedly made on a certain day, the Friday. Then she talks to the judge, but then by the time she goes back, it's been taken down, and there's an apology post talking about Satan getting a hold of him or whatnot. Well, that apology video was apparently posted several days before the date she said she saw this original post that miraculously no one has a copy of. But no. We're stupid and don't know anything, and we have no grounds for saying any of this because we mistakenly may have suggested that the jury rode in a car with Becky Hill at some point. I don't have Twitter. Can I read the thread somewhere? Someone post screenshot. Oh, it's a long thing. Just bear with me. We'll try to get to it at the end of the show. It's dumb. Camden Wagner says, I very much dislike Megan Fox. Yeah, that actress, her thumbs are weird, but our Megan Fox is pretty darn cool. We like Megan Fox. Yeah, the Facebook thing was way out of line. Flux, hey Flux, what's up? Flux says she will now have to see her ex-husband when they both have to testify. Yeah, right. And they didn't ask for this. And then the husband tried to call his ex because, you know, I guess of all this stuff that was going on, he heard her voice or whatnot and saw that she was kicked off the jury and whatnot. So he tried to contact her, but Becky Hill reportedly told her that, I bet the Murdochs have gotten to him. I mean, it was just, it's ridiculous. So what are we going to do about all this? That leads us to the next little tidbit here, but we do have to mention Emily Morse, who's been a member for 3 months. Emily, how are you doing? How are you doing, Emily? I hope you're feeling awesome and doing wonderful. And Kitty, who's been a member for 9 months, says, I have a case of the Mondays Vice is in chat. Well, welcome. Welcome. We all have a case of the Monday Rees. Alan, bring in the fancy fonts here. Yeah, there is no Maritime Monday today. Unfortunately, we've got too much breaking news here in the Alec Baldwin, damn it, Alec Murdaugh jury tampering scandal and possible retrial. Hopefully, Maritime Monday will be back next week. Hopefully. Well, the next point we get to in this is she was spotted out in the wild for the first time. All right, go away, watch live. There we go. Murdoch Court Clerk Becky Hill spotted for first time since twist in murder saga with video. And she has retained a lawyer. Hill hires high-profile attorney Justin Bamberg, who represented several Alec Murdaugh victims. Interesting, isn't it? She goes for someone already connected to the trial, someone who's represented the victims in the case. But here she is crossing the street with a Fox reporter.
Any comments at all about the allegations? Did you tamper with the jurors? Do you have lawyers now? Any comment at all, Rebecca? Anything?
Bye, Becky.
Did you tamper with the jurors, Rebecca?
All right. Then this article goes on to say she was spotted Thursday for the first time since she was accused by ALEX Murdaugh's lawyers in an explosive new motion of being a fame-hungry opportunist who tampered with jurors to land a book deal. That was one of the possible reasons they gave. It wasn't the reason. As Hill 55 crossed East Washington Street in Walterboro, South Carolina, about 10 a.m., a photographer asked, "Did you tamper with jurors?" Of course, she's not going to say anything. She clutched a stack of papers, her cell phone, and a drink as she accessed the court building through a back gate. Dun, dun, dun. There she is, running across the street like a Sasquatch with her drink. She's got the Sasquatch pose, running through the hills. All right, they talk a little bit more about this. And they said Ms. Hill did these things to secure herself a book deal and media appearances that would not happen in the event of a mistrial, the filing says. Ms. Hill betrayed her oath of office for money and fame. Remember, she's a legal eagle, and her entire life had been moving towards this moment for being clerk of court. And she was ready to go to New York and write her book and whatnot. And she was really, really pleased about certain things or certain parts of her involvement in this. I'm not sure if it's this article here. Yes, this is it. In the documentary, this is the fall of the House of Murdoch. In the documentary, Hill recounted her role in the blockbuster 6-week trial. "I'm the one that read the verdict of ALEX Murdaugh," she said. "And I was my breath was knocked out for a moment, but then I have to tell myself to treat this like any other trial, any other verdict that I have to read. Why wouldn't it be any other verdict you had to read? Why would this be a special thing unless you were somehow specially interested in it or had taken this role and were banking your future on it? Those are some possible reasons why you might be going, oh, what's the verdict? What's the verdict? Oh, good. Oh, thank God it's a guilty verdict." And her co-author on the courtroom memoir, Neil Gordon, told Court TV that there was no financial windfall from their endeavor. And we're going to play that interview here too. Gordon said they each put up $15,000 to self-publish the book because we thought it was an interesting story to tell. Let me tell you something, people. Nobody is that stupid to think that someone whose job is a clerk of court, and I don't know what his job is, but you don't just take $15,000 each and just throw it into something you think would be an interesting project and not want to make any money off of it. You didn't just do this. If that's the case, why is there a price tag attached to her book? If you're not trying to make a profit from this, why are you charging money for this book? Why don't you just upload it free on the internet? Why don't you do an Andrew Branca and just give it away free and charge for shipping and handling? Why are you trying to make money off of it if you just say you're not trying to make a windfall? Nobody puts $30,000 on the table to just flip it away and lose it all. That's ridiculous. She wants anybody to believe she just wrote this book out of the kindness of her heart and out of this altruistic deal to share with the world this really interesting story she had to tell, then why are you selling it? Why are you trying to recoup your money? And just because there was no windfall doesn't mean that they didn't try. It doesn't mean that they weren't rejected. We don't know if they were or not, but just because they haven't made a windfall on it And I would be interested to see how much the sales have gone up in the past week on this book. That would be interesting. I should check that out to see how much sales have increased compared to last week. But yeah, you don't do this stuff to lose money. You don't do this stuff because you don't want to make money. Why would she go to New York? All right, I'm not going to hammer that point. We all know she was trying to make money. And just because she didn't get the windfall, just because she didn't get the book deals, doesn't mean she didn't try. Doesn't mean she would not have accepted them. What it means possibly is if you listen to any of what Megan Fox and I read, it's shit writing. If that is the writing that she puts out with the help of a ghostwriter, god dang, I'd like to see what her original script looked like. Holy crap. Ghostwriting had better not be that other guy's profession either, because it ain't that great. Hill has retained attorneys Will Lewis and Justin Bamberg to represent her in the jury tampering claims. Bamberg, who is a frequent spectator at Murdoch's murder trial, represented several victims of his financial crimes. Lewis is a former federal prosecutor, and they, of course, declined to comment. They're not going to comment until they're damn good and ready to comment. $30,000 to self-publish, even hiring developmental line and copy editors, proofreaders, and cover designs. You aren't clearing $10K, and that book wasn't edited. Yeah, that's kind of my feeling exactly. Don't think Steve Gosney spent 30 grand on his self-publishing works. And his books are a hell of a lot better. I mean, he may have, I don't know, but I don't think so. The ghostwriter was fine. He had the worst material to work with and put it together competently. No. I got to disagree with you. Competent is not how I would describe that book at all. There wasn't a good page on it that I read from the excerpt. Maybe it got downright Shakespearean at the end, but not the parts we read. Yeah, well, we'll get to that here. Jeff should do the audio for Steve's book. Steve is doing the audio for Steve. Steve does the audio for Steve's book. Because you can buy the audio versions, I believe, of most, if not all, of Gosney's books. Tankrat just giving out memberships everywhere. Oh, is he giving out memberships everywhere? 20 Legal Vices memberships have been gifted by Tankrat. And we have our very own Max Mura in the house. What's up, Max? The juror that replaced the egg lady juror, James 22, was the brother of one of the deputy sheriffs that initially went to the Murdoch scene. Correct. Yeah, dude's brother was the first person on scene, if I remember correctly. And, well, when we get to her interview, when we get to Hill's interview, she's going to be talking about one of her family members was almost on the jury. Tankrat again with a $20 super chat. Lol, I finally get to gift memberships on LawRack stream again. Well, thanks. Very much appreciated. Thank you for the super chat, and thank you for the 20 gifted memberships. Go get them, people, and make sure you give Tankrat a super special thanks for that. And Liz Bott says, oh, sweet Jesus. Is she going to claim to be an Alex Murdaugh victim now? No, she's just hiring a couple of victims' lawyers. That's it. How is it legal to have someone on the jury whose brother was literally the first person that showed up at the scene? For some reason, none of the lawyers objected to it. You know, there you go. Well, moving right along, we have a little bit more information about her hiring her lawyer. Alex Murdaugh, let's embiggen it some more. Alex Murdaugh, trial clerk, hires lawyers after bombshell jury tampering claims. Latest. Hey, Buster, what's up? Yeah, Buster gave an interview where he's kind of concerned that he may be a target because there might be other people out there, which sort of fits into my mafia theory, which is also shared by Andrew Branca. The court clerk who oversaw the murder trial of convicted killer ALEX Murdaugh has hired high-profile lawyers after his attorney accused her of pressuring jurors to return a guilty verdict against him. The disgraced legal scion's attorney, Dick Harpootlian and Jim Griffin, filed a motion. We know all about the motion there that she tampered. She's now retained the counsel of State Representative Justin Bamberg and former Assistant U.S. Attorney Will Lewis. Now, Dick Harpootlian is also a state senator, I believe. I'm not sure if he's in the House or the Senate, but he is also a state government official. So he probably works with State Representative Justin Bamberg as well. I mean, you guys in chat, you have the hive memory. Is he a state senator or is he part of the House? I can't remember, but yeah. State Senate, correct. Okay. So he's in the Senate, and Justin Bamberg, Hill's lawyer, is one of the state representatives. And former U.S. Attorney Will Lewis. The clerk has yet to formally respond to the allegations against her, and she is not currently facing any criminal charges. Not yet. This is the beginning. They haven't even started the investigation yet. Not currently facing any criminal charges might be a very accurate way of putting that, especially as things progress in the future. Much of the 65-page motion centers around juror number 785, who was infamously dismissed from the panel just hours before deliberations began. Judge Clifton Newman removed her for allegedly discussing the case with people outside of the court. The woman then prompted some lighthearted relief when she asked to pick up her dozen eggs from the jury room before she left. Well, Dory K, honestly, I still kind of think he's probably guilty, but either way, he was clearly not legally convicted. New trial is necessary. And that's what we're going to continue to harp on about this thing. Whether he's guilty or not has nothing to do with it. It's the process. The integrity of the process is vital. We must protect the integrity of the process. If there's any shenanigans that go on, if there's anything illegal, if there's anything unethical, if there's anything untoward that goes on here, it calls the entire process into jeopardy. So that must be protected as absolutely sacrosanct. You cannot cut corners in convicting people. You cannot try to change the tide of the jury. You cannot do some of these things that any of these things that she's alleged to have done. Whether she did them or not, I don't know, but it will come out. And in my opinion, I've said before, if she's done even one of these things she's accused of, she doesn't have to have done all of them or half of them. If she's done even one of them, and there is one right there on the record with the judge saying, something along, I'm upset or I'm not too pleased with the clerk of the court interrogating one of the witnesses alone, something to that effect. That's in the court record. If that is a fact, then there must be a retrial, because the integrity of the process of convicting someone and literally de facto taking their life away with no possibility of parole, de facto killing a defendant, removing them from society and the societal gene pool for all eternity. If you're going to do that, you must protect the process and make sure it is immaculate. Just my 2 angry cents. I think SLED was involved. Oh, well, we're gonna get there, Otto. Hang on, Otto. We're going down there. Becky had the most to gain from the murders. Yeah. Judge, I'll allow it. Pick up D's nuts from the jury room. Nice, Hector. 100. Wow, we got 1,115 watching. I haven't been paying attention. Sweet baby Jeebus, we've got 1,119 watching and only 500 likes. 600 people haven't done your job. All right, everybody, let's take 5 seconds here. We'll do our midstream grift right now. I'll do it 5 minutes early. If you're here, please do me a favor. Get down there and hit that like button. It takes like that long. It takes like a third of a second, maybe even a quarter of a second if you do it really fast. Just click the like button. And if you haven't subscribed, I hope you would think about it and consider it, because there's nothing more that I would love in this universe than to have your subscription today. And while you're at it, take our little like and subscribe poll over here. And like and subscribe and vote. What's your opinion? Again, we got 843 votes and there's like 200 extra votes that haven't liked the video. All right, there must be a new trial. Oh, this is yeah. What is your opinion of the alleged jury misconduct? There must be a new trial. 60% of you have said there must be a new trial. 4% of you said Becky didn't do nothing at all. So 96% of you think there's at least some smoke here that needs to be investigated in a new trial. 21% of you said Megan Fox should read the book live. I think she should do. That would be awesome. And 15% of you have just said because the is strong with anybody commenting on this on Twitter. You are either the or the and it's coming in strong. Hey, that's like an extra Yeah, it's coming in strong. So super chats. We have 2 super chats to get through here. So, keep them coming. Oh, speaking of super chats and keeping them coming, this Friday, Tuesday and Wednesday, are they going to be the Johnny Depp Amber Heard dramatic readings of these sidebars. Thursday is going to be Remy _legal. I'm so used to saying it that way. Chandler Remington and I will be doing our weekly OJ Simpson on Thursday. And then this Friday will be F It Friday, where we just sit and grift for several hours. I try to grift as much money as possible. And we do money-based shots. That's just the easiest way to put it. So you keep those super chats coming here today. The first one's from Totally Not Papa's Earthly Eraser. Does a court clerk have any kind of immunity? No. She's an elected government official. And she's clerk of court. She was elected. She's one of the people. She could face criminal charges from this if it's found that she did anything criminally wrong. Becky did a podcast interview with Fitz News a few months ago. She says some very revealing things in context with what we now know. We're getting there, King Ginger. Thank you so much for that $5 super chat. You are awesome. That puts us, where are we? Where does that put us? That puts us about halfway to Doggo Cam. Cool. All right. Let's see. Let's get us to Doggo Cam. We've got the Doggo Cam locked and loaded and ready to go. All right. So let's move on from there. Now, this is where it starts to get a little bit interesting. Well, I mean, it's already interesting. This is where it gets even more interesting for me. South Carolina Attorney General asks for state investigation into Alex Murdaugh's jury tampering allegations. The Attorney General, and we're going to see him later in one of these video clips. He was the one that was saying, "Oh, yay, everything was done so well. Everything is great." And he called her like Miss Betty Boo. She said, "Oh, Miss Betty Boo did the most amazing job." Now he loves her. Apparently they're close friends. He's asking SLED to investigate the actions of someone he's publicly come out and said is his friend. So SLED has to investigate their own involvement and the involvement of someone who is the Attorney General's stated friend. How well is this going to go? South Carolina's Attorney General has asked a state law enforcement agency to investigate claims of jury tampering during Alex Murdaugh's murder trial this year. Officials said Thursday. The request comes after attorneys for Murdoch, the notorious South Carolina fraudster who was convicted in March of murdering his wife and son, filed a court motion Tuesday demanding a new trial and alleging a clerk of court tampered with the jury. Well, let's help this out. State Attorney General Alan Wilson asked the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, that's SLED, the ones that lied during the grand jury, but it was only a little lie, to investigate the claims. So the Attorney General is asking SLED to investigate the claims against Becky Hill here, which possibly involves SLED. Wilson said the investigative agency said in a joint statement Thursday, the state's only vested interest is seeking the truth. The joint statement reads, as with all investigations, SLED and the South Carolina Attorney Generals are committed to a fair and impartial investigation. Listen to that bullshit right there. Listen to that. As with all investigations, SLED and the South Carolina Attorney General's office are committed to a fair and impartial investigation. Yes, so fair and impartial. They're so committed to it that they had a witness on the stand that essentially admitted to lying in a grand jury. That's how committed they are to fair and impartial investigations. They will continue to follow the facts wherever they lead. Yeah, well, they didn't do that during the grand jury side of things. Tuesday's filing by Murdoch attorney claimed, whoa, that got real big quick into there. Tuesday's filing by Murdoch's attorneys claim the Colleton County Clerk of Court, Rebecca, quote, Becky Hill, tampered with the jury by advising them not to believe Murdoch's testimony and other evidence presented by the defense, pressuring him to reach a quick guilty verdict, and even misrepresenting critical and material information to the trial judge in her campaign to remove a juror she believed to be favorable to the defense. And they talk about her betraying her oath of office for fame and money, booking media appearances, whatnot. Once these two facts are proven, the law does not allow the court any discretion about how to respond. It must grant a new trial, the motion says. There's at least 3 sworn affidavits supporting these statements about Becky Hill's behavior. She's not responded to requests from CNN and the co-author. We're going to get to the co-author here in a couple of stories. The co-author of the book on Wednesday denied Murdoch's attorney's claims. They just got it wrong, Neil R. Gordon told CNN's Abby Phillip. The fact is there was no book deal coming her way or our way. But that doesn't mean you didn't try. That doesn't mean you wouldn't have accepted it. I mean, for God's sake, I can see, this is my story. You throw it out into the wild. You send it out to publishers and they'll go, ye gods, this is trash. No. And then you self-publish, or you self-publish and try to sell it later. Lots of authors do that. That was essentially, the huge hit Martian. Had the movie with Matt Damon. That was a book. It was a self-published book. It became a cult classic. It became a favorite of science fiction writers. Then it was picked up, and then they made a gigantic movie out of it, and the author's rich. So that it can happen. It just that it hasn't happened yet, or it didn't happen, doesn't mean they didn't try, and doesn't mean that it's not a possibility. So Gordon, who did not meet Hill until after the trial was over, said the two of them spent $30,000 of their own money with no prior guarantees from any publisher. No prior guarantees from any publisher. That doesn't mean they didn't try to market it. That doesn't mean they weren't turned down. And Gordon spoke to Hill on Wednesday, and she's decided to give her response in court before making a public statement, he said. That's smart of her. Just shut up, Becky. No matter what you say at this point, it ain't going to help. The court filing comes about 6 months after Murdoch. And now I think that's kind of all of the article. That's all I wanted to get from that story, I think. Yep. Well, there's a little more to this story of SLED investigating things. We'll get there in just a quick second. Nicholas Starov's Trial Watch, bringing those Swedish sexy 100 monies. It's Monday, back end of a cold. I'm sorry to hear that. First day back at work after vacation. The person I redirected mails to haven't answered them yet. How is your Monday going? My Monday was going very, very well, and until about 5:58 p.m. I usually try to leave at 6. 5:58 p.m. I got this. Oh, here, do this one last thing before you leave the office today, and I had to do that, which took an extra hour. So that kind of put a damper on it. But now I'm here talking to all of y'all, so my day is fantastic and wonderful and great again. Thank you so much for that super chat, Nicholas. Good to see you here, and I hope we're going to see you for F It Friday, because you should be there. Pope Rackets, touch me. What's up? It's been a minute. All sounds like gambling debts with deep corruption. That is definitely one of the possibilities. Squizgar also, what's up, Squizgar 2322 SLED? We have investigated ourselves and found no evidence of wrongdoing. Yup, exactly. Becky should have stopped with the truth serum. Oh yes, she was her and some of her colleagues. They had some truth serum, adult beverages, drinking with the media during trial. Satan has completely taken over. What's up, Danielle? You are not wrong, Danielle. She even said, even the one guy, whoever his name was, admitted that Satan took him over and he drunk posted. Becky, her truth serum brings out the demon in some. So good to see you here, Danielle. It's been a minute. Love to have you here. Della Sandor, you look good, Jeff. Like you have a tan. The beauty of lighting and the shade of the hat. You take it off and you just get washed out. See, I'm as white as I ever was. And now with evening coming early and no longer on the beach, going to get wider. What time is it in South Korea? Right now, it is 11:08 p.m. on Monday evening. And Xanothium 15. I wouldn't trust SLED to investigate my stool sample. I wouldn't want them to investigate my stool sample. Ugh. Here for the truth, the $2 super chat. Wait, elected officials get punishment? Prove it. Yeah, in theory. But again, in theory, communism works. What? What do you mean? No. Never. So we have to keep our Danielles straight, because what we haven't seen you in a while, Danielle, on this channel. It's been last week sometime, wasn't it? So we've got 3 Danielles. That's the problem. There's Mod Danielle, the tall one with the lowercase d. There's Mod Danielle, the shorter one with the capital D, and then there's capital Danielle here, who's not a mod. So we have to keep all 3 of our Danielles kind of straight. So yeah, we're keeping them all straight. So don't think I don't see you, non-mod capital D Danielle. There's got to be a better way of saying it than non-mod capital D Danielle and mod small d Danielle. Anyway. Jeff did a Darth Vader reveal. Put it back on. Duncan, Idaho. Do you like to see me here too? I do, Duncan, Idaho. And just basically because I just love saying Duncan, Idaho. Because, hey, Dune is my absolute favorite book of all time. Mod Danielle for Legal Mindset. Now but she's also a mod for me. So that's capital Danielle mod. She's also a mod for Legal Mindset, but she's also a mod for me. So, so many Danielles. We got little d, big D, and not a mod D. That's kind of what we got to do. Oh yeah, if we make her a mod, then we've got 2 capital D's, and that would just make things even more. It's not the size of the D, Jeff. Remember that. I know. Oh dear. Right. On that note, let's jump right back into this. We had our little palate cleanser there with you wonderful, gracious, kind, and caring people supporting the channel here. Appreciate that. Let's get right back into the news here. Let's get right into the news. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Yes. Let's talk some more about this police investigation, shall we? You're not basic nobody, Danielle. Stop it. You're the Danielle in the need of titty tape. Well, we can call you titty tape, Danielle, but that would be awkward. You're not a basic. I have no basic nobodies on this channel. You're all awesome people. This is from the New York Times. Police investigating whether court clerk influenced Murdoch jurors. See if we can embiggen this more so you can read along at home. Lawyers for ALEX Murdaugh said the clerk had told the jurors not to be fooled by his defense before he was convicted of murdering his wife and son. Stare into my soul. The police in South Carolina said on Thursday that they were investigating whether a court clerk improperly communicated with jurors, who later convicted ALEX Murdaugh of the murders of his wife and son in one of the most famous criminal trials in the state's history. The investigation by the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, SLED, was opened 2 days after Mr. Murdaugh's lawyers made explosive claims about the clerk, Becky Hill, and asked for a new trial for Mr. Murdoch, the scion of an influential legal family who was sentenced to life in prison in March. Now, what they didn't mention here in this article, at least not yet, is that not only did SLED open up this investigation 2 days after this motion was filed, but during the press conference, and I believe it was even in the motion. I can't recall if the wording was actually in the motion, but it was definitely in the press conference, that SLED should have nothing to do with this investigation because they may be deeply involved in it. That was a specific request made by Murdoch's lawyers, was that SLED not be involved in any way, and they stand down from the investigation. Then Immediately, the Attorney General, again, who is friends with Becky Hill, calls her Miss Betty Boo, calls on SLED to investigate his friend and their own organization, apparently. Law enforcement investigation was opened at the request of the South Carolina Attorney General Alan Wilson, whose office prosecuted the case. It is yet another unexpected development in a years-long legal saga that began when Mr. Murdoch's wife, Maggie, and younger son, Paul, were shot to death on the family's rural hunting. In announcing an investigation into the allegations of jury tampering, the state police agency and the Attorney General said in a statement their only vested interest is seeking the truth, committed to a fair and impartial investigation. That is just crap. Yeah, this was his statement. We'll see it live. I call her Becky Boo. That's her nickname. But Madam Clerk, wherever you are tonight. And then Ms. Hill's voice is General and waves, and it was her. She was hogging the camera from up there. It was Ms. Hill standing on the second floor balcony of the courthouse with her dog Gizmo nearby. This is what she does. The elected clerk court handles mainly administrative matters such as ordering food for jurors, overseeing logistics for trials, not interrogating them about alleged Facebook posts, not confronting them about Facebook posts, not raising Facebook post issues, not telling them that they shouldn't be fooled by the defense, not telling the jurors they need to pay attention to the body language, not telling jurors they can't smoke a cigarette until they come back with a verdict, not telling jurors that they shouldn't take them long, not telling jurors they're going to be taken immediately to a hotel overnight if they don't reach a decision quickly, etc., etc., etc. That's not in her job description. And these 4 affidavits describe the accounts of 4 jurors, 2 of whom were on the panel that convicted Mr. Murdoch, and 1 who sat through the trial as an alternate, and 1 who was excused just before the jury began its deliberations. 4 out of the 12, 1/3 of them are talking about improper things that Becky Hill has done. It's not 1 against 11. So far, it's 4 that have come forward and given affidavits or statements saying that improper things happened, and she was the cause of them. Together, the affidavits claim that Ms. Hill had several secret conversations with the jury forewoman. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that, too. That was also one of the things she was supposedly have done. Had several secret conversations in the one-person bathroom for 5 or 10 minutes, and then told other jurors they weren't allowed to ask about what their conversations were. That's some effed up shit there. And that's the end of that story. But so what does this mean? Can I be mad? I'll identify as a chick for you. We have male mods. It has nothing to do with being a chick. Wolfram, Jeff tries to explain the difference between the Danielles. I'll wait for the movie to come out. Ooh, the 3 Danielles. That's what we need to have. All right, Flux, where did your mind go? Flux's mind went somewhere. I can't scroll up enough to see it. Double D's. Yeah, all right. Should have known. So I should have known before I even got there, Flux. Ocean's Way would love to have you cover that Utah Mormon case, the 8 passengers. It's so crazy. I hope all is well with you and puppies. Yeah, we're all great here. That case is gonna be kind of off the hook. And I think Danny on Direct is going to be covering most of it with her being right there in downtown Utah. Don't know that I'll be covering other than maybe a few news stories here and then, but she's probably going to be giving devoting the majority of the her you know what I mean. She's going to be, at least as far as I'm concerned, the point person to go to for information related, the same way she was with Lori Vallow. She's there on hand. So we'll leave it to the locals to do it, but I'll participate in any way that she'll let me. That would be fun. Judge should be held accountable for knowing shenanigans were going on and doing nothing. Well, there is a very, very good chance the judge would be called as a witness because he knew that the jury forewoman, she knew that Becky Hill had interrogated one of the jurors alone without his knowledge, approval, or authority. So there's a good chance he might be called, at least as a witness. Becky's got a gun. That was a great song. Except for it was like Jenny. Jenny's got a oh my God, I threw up in my mouth a little. Stop. Yeah. Near Gizmo. She had her Gizmo. And let's see here. Becky Hill gives some very strong final boss Karen energy, says Duncan, Idaho. And thank you so much again, Duncan, Idaho. I love saying Duncan. Julie, oh, what's up with the $5? Missed member live yesterday because Jeff didn't clear it with me first, so I guess I'll watch the shit show today. Oh, it wasn't a shit show. It was great. We just sat and we chilled for like 2.5 hours. It was quite fun. There was nothing shit showy about it. It was great. Judges have absolute immunity. They're not saying that anything would happen to the judge, but they can still get called as witnesses. There's nothing wrong with calling a judge as a witness. Becky stole Janie's gun too. Right. Okay, now we're gonna get into the what if. This is the speculation part of the night. Then we'll hit the videos. Will ALEX Murdaugh be granted a new trial? Legal experts weigh in. The answer is nobody knows because we haven't heard any arguments on the motion yet. And we don't even have the State Attorney General's office response. They have, I believe, until this Friday to submit their response to the motion to suspend the appeals and for the defense to be allowed to submit the motion for a new trial. That response has to be in by Friday, I believe. W says, wow, our Lorax is like Pokemon. You seem to have a weird evolved form of the Pokedex. Okay. What is the weird evolved form of the Pokedex that I have? I've got law cards. Right. So let's speculate. Sign up for free. We can skip through all of this. 6 months on, they're filing a motions for appeal. Where's all of the speculation? Comes on down here. Prominent attorney Duncan Levin told The Independent that the claims laid out in the court documents are extremely serious and that if true, Murdoch could and should be granted a new trial. Okay, so there we go. There's one person saying that they could, if they're proven, they could and should be granted a new trial. The allegations in the complaint are extremely serious, he said. The complaint asserts that an elected state official, the clerk, we know what the assertions are. Mr. Levin, the former assistant district attorney in Manhattan DA's office and prominent criminal defense lawyer, attorney at Levin and Associates, who has represented clients including Harvey Weinstein and Anna Delvey, explained that the accusations could amount to a violation of Murdoch's rights. If proven true, these allegations not only undermine the integrity of the judicial process, which is what I was ranting about earlier, but also represent a significant violation of Murdoch's constitutional rights to a fair trial, he said. Now the motion has been filed. He said there's an evidentiary hearing is likely to take place where the evidence for the accusations will be laid out, and they will be laid out in open court. If the allegations are proven to be true, Mr. Levin said that Murdoch should then unquestionably be granted his request for a new trial. The actions described, particularly those of a court official who is entrusted with upholding the principles of justice and impartiality, fundamentally undermines the fairness of the trial and the credibility of the verdict, he said. And again, it doesn't matter if you think he's guilty or not. It doesn't matter if he's in fact guilty or not. When you circumvent the process, when you interfere with it, when you tamper with it, you must go back to square one to preserve the integrity of that process. In such cases, the law typically requires the granting of a new trial to ensure that justice is served without the taint of undue influence or misconduct. No taint jokes in chat. I know you guys. He added these actions, if sustained. Oh, God, I was like, they could not have said. Daryl Brooks has got sustained in every law tuber's vocabulary now. And I was reading that going, there's no way that said sustained. I had to read it like about 5 times. Okay, these actions, if substantiated, could lead to severe consequences for those involved. Ms. Hill has not responded. Murdoch's still in hot water. Speaking on Good Morning America, Harpootlian suggested the jurors should also seek legal counsel. Absolutely. They're coming in for questioning. They're going to probably be questioned by SLED. They could be questioned by the FBI. Don't talk to cops without a lawyer. It doesn't matter who you are or what you do. Get a lawyer. Get a lawyer. Absolutely, Harpootlian was saying the correct thing. Get a lawyer. Mr. Levin said that it's possible jurors could potentially face legal consequences if the accusations to extend to their own misconduct, but there's been no allegations of jury misconduct at this point. If there is evidence or concerns of juror misconduct, such as receiving outside information, discussing the case prematurely, or being influenced by external factors, jurors could potentially face legal consequences or be called upon to testify about their actions. Oh, they'll be called to testify about what happened. I mean, there's just no question about that. They were currently reviewing the defense's latest motion, says the Attorney General's office, and will respond through the legal process at the appropriate time. Again, I believe that's by Friday they have to do that. And that's the post that didn't exist. All right, that's about enough of that from the Independent. Right. Legal Vices. I'm not a legal expert, but isn't retaining a lawyer his constitutional right? I think it's 5 or 6. Oh, Murdoch gets a lawyer. You know, everybody can have a lawyer. You know, to have one appointed for you, you only get the free lawyer if you're indigent, you meet the criteria, and it's a criminal case. You don't get lawyers appointed in civil cases or for situations like this. Alrighty, we are all caught up on chats. How are we doing? Have we? Oh, we are about $10 away from Doggo Cam. So that's I have faith in you. So we'll get Doggo Cam locked and loaded here so that we can respond at the appropriate time. Let's see. Excuse me for one quick second while I do this. Right. Cool. I am now in full optimism mode. All right. See, I should have known not to say don't. If I wouldn't have said don't say taint jokes, there would be no taint jokes in chat right now. Now it's just like no. Now it's just nothing but a list of taint jokes. And Tanny Simmons, what's up, girl? Thank you so much, Tanny. Tanny pushing us over the limit here. Tanny pushing us into Doggo Cam world. Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of night.
Release the hose.
Right, there's my buddy down there. We got to do this. We'll do it like that. Boom. There is Straw. We'll embiggen Strawberry there. It's Dog Butt Cam. Yoda is over here asleep on the veranda. So once Strawberry wanders off or stops looking at the wall, we'll move it on over. My cat's name is Karen. $10 just because we love you. Oh, thank you so much. And say hi to Karen the cat. Right. So there we are. We hit Doggo Cam. That's good. It's good to hit Doggo Cam. We've unlocked that particular achievement for today. And we've also unlocked the achievement of video. Now, let's see how we're going to do this with Doggo Cam. This first little bit is Becky Hill's co-author responding to questions from Court TV. Let's see. I'm toying around with various camera thingies here. Does this help us? Yes, that's perfect. Cool. All right. This is the view we will use. Or we can do it even bigger and do that. I think we should do that one. Why not? Let you see Strawberry's butt in all of his glory. And Tank Rat with a $20 super chat. Thank you so much, brother. Appreciate that. So if they move forward with the inquiry, will they have all of the jurors take the stand, or will they quit after more than 60% confirm the allegations against Becky Hill? I think they're all coming in. The dismissed ones, the ones that sat, the alternates, I think they're all coming in to give testimony one way or the other if the hearing's granted. That's my take. Butt cam, dog butt cam is best cam. All right, well, there we go. Right, let's watch some court TV here. This is her co-author giving his side of the story. It runs about 10-15 minutes.
Joining us tonight, said there was a co-author here, co-author of Behind the Doors of Justice, the Murdoch Murders, Neil Gordon is joining us tonight. Neil, great to see you. Thank you for being here.
Hi, Vinny.
Okay, but before we get into some real details here, your reaction to what happened today. I called it like an earthquake centered down there in the low country, shaking all of us who followed this case. What's your reaction to what you heard from the defense today?
I was shocked. I worked with Becky for 6 months as both a friend and a colleague on the book. And we've had many discussions in writing the book about any kinds of conversations that she would have had with anybody associated. As Harpootlian mentioned, I mean, she has many different tasks. She's got to work with the judge, the media, the public, dealing with the food, dealing with defense attorneys and so forth. And very little with the jury. I mean, there is a chief bailiff that keeps their eyes on the jury at all times, and there's very little contact.
So in preparing this book, were there any conversations that you had with Becky about conversations she had with jurors during the course of the trial, including the foreperson who the defense is saying there were private conversations, allegations that they're on the Moselle property and they walked off together? They may have had a conversation.
Oh, yes, that was the other thing. And see, that's what kind of pissed me off about all this spurging and reeing on Twitter against Megan and I yesterday. Is they were jumping our shit for maybe possibly saying or insinuating that improperly that she had ridden in a car with the jurors. They didn't mention anything about the possibility and the allegations that she was holding private conversations with jurors, with at least one juror, possible jurors at the Moselle crime scene. No, they didn't mention that. They didn't say, oh yeah, but you were right about that, or you're right about any of these other things. It was just, you said one thing wrong. You talked for 4 hours. You went over allegations and arguments for 4 hours, and you said one thing wrong. So therefore, you guys don't know what you're talking about. You're biased. You're stupid. You're noobs. You're not qualified, etc., etc., etc. People on Twitter are just freaks.
Conversation in the jury room bathroom.
Well, Vinny, all that I know and that we put in the book, you mentioned Moselle. There was an order from the judge for there to be silence. There was no conversation to be had. So I asked her and said no conversation was had. We talked about a couple of different things. If you meet Becky, you know that she's a very spiritual person, and she mentioned that the jury was very prayerful. It was mentioned to her that they prayed often. Becky prayed often with her staff and all. And I asked her directly, I said, did you ever pray with the jury? And she said, oh, no. No legal entity is allowed to have prayer with the jury. So, it was very clear to me that there was a line there. Did you ask
her if she privately interrogated a juror about email?
It's unusual. I've been doing here at Court TV for a long time. I don't know if I've ever seen a book written by the clerk of the court after one of these big trials. I've seen them written by the attorneys on both sides, and sometimes they got in a little trouble for that. I've seen plenty of them written by jurors in states that permit it after a certain amount of time. What was the motivation that Becky had to get together with you to write this book? And was this the master plan before the trial started? Was it plotted that this was going to be the big retirement nest egg?
Oh, I don't know about that. I didn't actually meet Becky until 3 weeks after the trial.
Till after?
My wife, 3 weeks after the trial, my wife, like millions of people, were just glued to Court TV, and they had trouble working. She decided to go with a colleague, Addie Strozier, to Walterboro to actually watch the trial. She had a chance meeting with Becky the day that the vans were leaving to go to Moselle. In fact, I remember what was said was that there was Becky was actually making sure that people did not get pictures of the jury. That's how intent she was on that. And so Melissa mentioned to Becky, took a selfie and then reached her out, 3 weeks later and said, hey, do you mind if I use this in a coffee table book? And Becky said, this has been the trial of the century. And I'm thinking about it. I just don't know how to go about it. And so they brought me in as a colleague. I mean, my background has been in journalism for 30 years.
Oh,
I instantly liked her. And as you held up the book, Behind the Doors of Justice, you're right. No clerk of court has ever really written a book to just explain just minute by minute how intense a trial situation is and how reverent you have to be to the truth and to law. And I got to tell you, you asked my reaction. I was pretty upset at what Harpootlian said was the motivation that Becky had. Last time I checked, Simon & Schuster did not send us a check for $200,000.
Did you ask Simon & Schuster to publish it? Who did you ask to publish it? Did you ask nobody to publish it? Did you plan on making money from this? Don't go down this we didn't get a windfall bullshit, because if you write crap and that nobody wants to publish, you're not getting a windfall from it. Plain and simple. And I can't help but laugh at King Ginger 333 says, I'm going to have to ask you to move your desk down to storage room B. Stapler, burn down the building. Don't touch my stapler. This guy does, he does look like him, doesn't he? But yeah, this whole thing, like we're doing it out of the kindness of our hearts, out of altruism when we didn't plan. We have no intention of making money. That whole insinuation is bullshit. You do it to make money. Plain and simple. Just because you didn't get any doesn't mean that you don't want it and that wasn't your objective. Don't try this altruistic bullshit with me.
The Gordons and the Hills put up $30,000 of our own money because we felt this was an interesting story to tell. So right away, Vinny, for that to be motivation for her to get a book deal is completely false right there.
So what you just explained to me is that you're in the negative on this.
We self-published.
You self-published.
We self-published.
Did you do that because you
didn't
had
get
to?
The big advance.
Because you wanted to.
None of that.
No.
Okay.
We advanced a check for $30,000. You got attorney fees. You got to get set up on Amazon. You got to print so many copies, liability insurance, editors, you name it. But we felt it was a story that should be told. I mean, in my lifetime, I'm 59 years old. I don't know that there will ever be another trial like this. And it was my honor and pleasure to work with somebody with such integrity and character as someone like Becky Hill. Did you
so much so that you just gave her $15,000 with no hope, plan, desire, or interest in getting that money back, right? Your wife just said, oh yeah, go give $15,000 to another woman for the hell of it. No.
Interact with her? I know
just
that you were there.
I was there. I did not. Some of our staff had the opportunity to do that. And you said another trial like this in our lifetime. Well, we're hoping there's not going to be another one like this, because that's what the defense wants, is an exact repeat of the trial. Obviously, they want a different ending to the whole thing. Have you spoken to Becky today after all of this has become public?
Very briefly, as you might imagine, she's had calls off the hook from media outlets, and as much
fame, she's getting fame out of this.
Much as she'd like to make a statement, these allegations are so deep that she has hired counsel and they're going over them. But I am told they are going to put out a statement in the near future. Good. And one thing I know about Becky Hill, she will answer each and every one of these allegations truthfully. She's one of the most genuine people I know, and it made me sick seeing this played out on national TV, and I just felt like I needed to speak out.
Exactly. Brittany Gibbs making an incredibly valid point here. He didn't meet her until after the trial, yet he acts like he knows how she conducted herself her entire life. Oh yeah, he's known her for 6 months, but oh yeah, she's the most genuine, honest person. She'd never lie. She has his integrity. She didn't do any of this, and I know she didn't do it. Why? Because she told me. This person I've never met before told me she didn't do these things, so of course I believe her. Ugh.
You know, and again, I've prefaced everything today saying if this is true, because
thank you,
because that's a big part of it, right? And the fact, I mean, she's been doing this for years, right? So I mean, she understands the rules and the role and everything else. So that's why I was so shocked by these allegations. Now, there were some strange things that happened during the course of this trial,
yes,
including this whole Facebook controversy with juror, I think it was 758, who ended up getting kicked off. Was there any of that sort of drama? Because I have not read the book yet. I'll be honest with you. Okay,
good for you.
100% honest, I've not read this book yet.
Vinny, that's the best
now
decision you
has
ever
to read
made.
it, right? To figure out what the defense
Vinny,
is talking about.
I'm going to send you an autographed copy.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. But
oh, I love that. I haven't read it. Well, I'll say, he didn't ask for an autograph. That's like great. I love these people. Like, do you want my autograph? Well, no. I'll take it anyway. I'll send you an autograph. Nobody asked for it, pal. He didn't ask you for a goddamn autograph copy. Ugh. Tank Rat with a $20 super chat. WTF does this guy know? All he knows is what she told him. What a simp, right? Yeah. Fame whore. Him too. This is so dumb. I'll send you an autographed copy. What is now? Is he going to go? Oh, no, thanks. All right, I gotta take you. I've got a copy right here in my damn hands. Now I've got another copy. Great. Ugh.
Well, is there anything in here about the juror who got bounced from the trial because of whatever was going on with the Facebook posts, with the ex-husband, etc.?
Yes, there is, and what it all led to, and this I think is really the most important part of it in our book, is it led to Judge Newman, very unusual, calling the jury back in chambers and interviewing her, calling the juror rather, and interviewing her about the situation. And what he said, and he addressed this to the public and to the gallery, he said he felt that she was discussing the merits of the case, whatever way you wanted to go with it, with the outside public. And
what was her evidence for that? She felt like she was? Feeling like someone's doing something is a hell of a lot different than them actually doing it. And it's not her place to make the decision. It's her place to tell the judge that maybe this has happened. Not to talk to her, not to interrogate her, not to question her at any time alone, not to take any action by herself. That's not her job. She's a jury wrangler. She arranges for lunch.
So the judge did decide to disqualify her and send her home.
Based on faulty fucking information, allegedly.
Was she discussing with Becky? Is that who she was speaking with?
Oh, no.
Oh, no,
not at all. Not at all.
No.
Apparently, and again, I'm not crystal clear on this, but
this is not.
Can we go back? Let's go back 20 seconds. Did this happen? No. Well, I'm not really crystal clear, but 1,837 no's, followed by a, well, I'm not exactly clear.
Oh, no, not at all.
Does Becky, was she discussing with Becky? Is that who she was speaking with?
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all. Apparently, and again, I'm not crystal clear on this, but
this is not sworn testimony tonight.
But how do you say no, 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 no? But well, maybe apparently, but I'm talking out of my fucking ass right now. But let me tell you something.
Hi, Neil. You're not under oath, so just your best recollection.
Thank you.
We'll work tonight.
Thank you. Yeah, Vinny, there were apparently some Facebook posts that were out there allegedly by somebody who knew her and talked about her talking about the case in the community. That was enough for the judge to call the person in.
No. She said that her ex-husband, she identified this. She told the judge about it. He didn't show the judge a copy. She didn't show the judge a copy. She didn't save it. She didn't screenshot it. She didn't download it. She didn't print it. She didn't do anything. She just told the judge that her ex-husband, that the juror's ex-husband posted this saying that they got drunk together and he said that she already had her mind made up. 100% complete bullshit.
And then after interviewing that juror, he decided that she should not be on the jury anymore. So the end result is the judge made the decision. And we didn't really cover much of, because Becky really didn't have any involvement in it that we discussed.
Other than interrogating her alone?
As we sit here tonight and you think about doing this project with Becky, you guys funded it yourselves. Are there any regrets? Anything like, oh, maybe we shouldn't have done this, or, oh, we put stuff in here that could be problematic and could perhaps compromise the trial or compromise Becky?
Well, that's a fair question, Vinny. And obviously when we sat down, we decided that we wanted to share as much as we could with, and I should tell you, this was run through a media attorney. This was run through the Ethics Commission in the state of South Carolina.
Oh, and see, and we're going to talk about that ethics thing because that doesn't say what he and she think it says.
About even a clerk of court being allowed to write a book, an elected official. And they said as long as, sealed documents aren't shared and as long as confidential information is not shared, it's okay.
No, that's
so
not even close to what they fucking said.
Before we even started. And we carefully vetted this through media attorneys and editors. And we feel very good about it because it's not so much about the trial. You were there, you saw, and you can see the gallery, small town courthouse. It's like Mayberry, town square. The media is all out in front. People have an opportunity to come in and see this, almost an opportunity of a lifetime. People came from New York and other parts of the country just to see this. And it was wonderful to be able to share how when people work together for the common good to do the right thing, this can come off as, I think, a well thought of trial and how it was run. And that was really her job, was to run the courtroom. That's she's like the operations manager of the courtroom. And from what I could tell, it seemed to me she did a very good job, and I'm proud to call her a friend, and I'm proud to co-author the book with her, and I'd write another one with her.
Well, I've got the title for the next one, Behind the Doors of Justice, and you follow how all of this sort of works its way
Vinny,
through the whole system. Unbelievable. Neil Gordon, appreciate you coming on tonight.
All right, that's all that I can stomach. Ugh. She wasn't honest with the ethics committee. First of all, you're exactly right. She didn't. She failed to raise some very important and pertinent issues that may have led the ethics committee to word their letter differently. But also the way it was worded doesn't say what she her co-author, and a huge number of internet people, epithets, think it says. But now there's something I want to do here. We're gonna go a little over. We're gonna go a little over the 2-hour mark today. Dang it. Let's see. Here for the truth of the $5 super chat. Here for the truth says, signed copy, suggested reply. Aw, thanks, but we're all set on toilet paper. The book is in his hand. It's not like, oh, you don't have a copy of it? I'll send you one, and I'll put something nice in the front cover for you. I see you have this book in your hand. You've said you have it in your hand, and you haven't read it, but I'll send you an autographed copy you didn't ask for. He's like, oh, what the fuck am I going to do with this? Ugh. You know that never comes to his desk. He's not going to frame it and mount it on a wall next to president. Well, I'm sure he's got pictures of him and presidents and other. He's not going to frame it and put it next to that. He's just going to say, all right, if that mail comes in, just chuck it. Keep it away from me. All right. Oh, by the way, everybody that doesn't know, that's Yoda. Yoda doesn't move. Yoda just lays there. That's what Yodas do. Right. So let's hear from the woman herself. This is Clerk of Court Becky Hill sharing Murdoch trial insights on Fitz News 1 month ago. Like a little over 3 weeks, about a month ago, about a month before the shit hit the fan. This is an interview she did with Fitz News. Let's see. Right, that's what we'll do. LC Mayor says this is worse than the Edgecombe paralegal posing as a cop. Yeah, that didn't go very well for the defense in that case either, did it? Also doing computer forensics, the victim's Facebook page. Oh, and I like what King Bob here said too. You're not under oath. That will come later. And I think she made that post herself. Bobby Blunt, I don't think she made a post. I don't think there was a first post because she didn't copy it. She didn't download it. She didn't screen cap it. She didn't save it. She didn't do anything to it. She just went to the judge and said, oh, here's this. Then when they were told to go back and find it, they couldn't find it. It miraculously wasn't there. There was literally not an eyewitness on planet Earth other than her as to the existence of that first article. I don't think it was ever there. I think she just made it up. I could be wrong. She'll have her chance to address that issue in court, I'm sure. But I think she made it up. And then she luckily found an apology letter from someone who said Satan got him. And his name on there was Timothy. And the juror's husband only goes by Tim on his Facebook, and that's not his picture. So she just found some random guy with a similar name that happened to make an apology right around that time. But again, as we talked about earlier, unfortunately, that apology was posted. So, the original article, the original post was supposedly deleted, and then an apology. But that apology was written several days before she said that she saw the original post. So that just doesn't line up. So let's hear her own words. This is before all of this came out. So let's fast forward here as much as we can to shorten it. Let's see if she makes any missteps here. Let's see if she telegraphs anything that she that may be used to attack her credibility or to prove the allegations against her. Because when she recorded this, when she made this, she had no idea this shit was about to hit the fan.
Thank you for being with us today.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Now, I've got to ask you this, Madam Clerk. Can we dispense with the formalities? And can I call you Miss Becky?
Can we please do that? Thank you, Will. Thank you.
Excellent. Because during the 6 weeks of that trial, you were Miss Becky, running that show. And again, just the integrity, the way you ran that trial from
Yeah,
start
but it
to
wasn't
finish,
even
you
his
and your
apology.
crew,
And it was,
I'm sure you're still getting plaudits, but
the apology was
just
days
amazing.
before the first
Thank you.
Let me
post
ask
was
you,
supposed to have been made.
have things gotten back to normal in the borough since this trial?
I don't think we really know what normal is. They say it's just a setting on the dryer. I'm beginning to believe that's about true.
Well, how's everybody doing?
Don't tell jokes. If you're not a comedian, don't tell jokes. Like, normal's just a setting on a dryer. Awkward pause while we watch a woman fold a hose in the background and then, all right, how are we all doing?
Good. I mean, your family's well. Your beautiful daughter Aubrey. Everybody's doing well.
We are all doing well. My daughter is doing great. She's singing. She's gotten a lot of gigs, and she's got a little group together. And they sang at the Water Festival in Beaufort here recently, and doing great. My husband
awesome.
Tommy is doing wonderful. Trying to be retired, but I keep him busy. And my son and his wife and 2 children doing great.
That's wonderful. And the town, we had such a wonderful experience in Walterboro. Not just you, your staff, the sheriffs, but all the businesses there, the food trucks. Everybody's so welcoming. What a great community.
Thank you. I'm glad that you had that experience, because that's what we wanted to provide.
Food trucks.
Well, it was a difficult situation, but you guys absolutely did your jobs and put the best foot forward, as you said you would do before the trial. But Becky, I want to ask you, a lot of folks are writing books about the Murdoch saga and about various aspects of it, but your book, which is coming out, tell me when it's coming out again, so I make sure I know that.
August 1st is our due date. It's already.
The guy, who's the guy, is just some interviewer for Fit News. Not a simp. We didn't know all of this was happening. He's a good interviewer. I've watched almost all of this. He's a good interviewer. He's doing his job. He's not there to confront her and antagonize her. She's there to sell her book, promote it. He's there to ask her questions and to let her do it. His job is to make her look good during this interview, because this is a month before all this shit went down. So, don't be attacking the interviewer here. He's doing his job very, very well. Julie O, if she had a knob, it would be slobbed right now. Now, seriously, guys, don't take it out on this. That's his job as a reporter. He's not Sam Donaldson on 60 Minutes trying to rake her over the coals about her book. He's invited her on the show to promote her book. So that's his job, is to sell her, make her look good, and to sell her books.
So right around the corner.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it is on Amazon.
Well, I was lucky enough to get a sneak peek of it. And I got to ask you first 2 questions, really. When did the idea come to you to write this, and how did you get it done so quickly?
Thinking back, I think the idea came from a historical point of view, because we knew that this was such a trial that would be different from anything that we had ever experienced, and it would be on a worldwide stage. I think the seed was planted back before the trial. And did I really think that I would write a book? I think the thinking was there, but then I happened to meet some people that kind of put feet to the dream.
So she had already had plans to write this book before the trial. Interesting. So she knew she wanted to be front and center of the trial. She needed to be this. She needed the story to be interesting. Did that lead her to do things to bolster her story,
so to speak? And that was at the very end of the trial when I met these people. And it took us 4.5 months to write this book, which is a very, very, very fast way to write a book.
Yeah, and it shows. It really, really shows.
Some people take 4.5 years, I've been told. But I worked.
I would take 4.5 decades. And maybe never get it done.
I have certainly enjoyed writing, and writing my first book. I've always loved reading, writing, and from the time that I was a child. So I would pretend when I was a child that I was a newscaster of all things. And I'd put the newspaper in front of me and pretend I was on Channel 5 with Charlie Hall. But you have to be from the Low Country to know about Charlie Hall. He was an icon.
Let me ask you this question. One of the things that struck me in reading your book was the insight you had into that jury.
Okay, this is interesting. Well, John Bear asks, when was this interview? This was about a month ago. How would she have insight into the jury? How would she have any insight into the jury?
It was almost like you knew from the very beginning what they were thinking. And remember,
apparently she did. Apparently she did know from the beginning. Teresa from the Mitten, thank you so much for the super chat. Says a legal eagle's attorney would not have let her publish, right? You know, if she's such that legal eagle, she should have known not to do this. But apparently she's not. Angel Australia, what's up? So good to see you here. Happy Tuesday from down under, Larax. You're already on your Tuesday. I still have 1 minute left of Monday. This effery better be investigated. Lamest Becky ever won. Well, happy Tuesday to you. Like I said, I'm on my final minute of Monday here in Korea. Bad weather biker. She's borderline Gmail. No, she's not. No, she's not. Just no bad weather biker. No. No. Shivers. Gave me the shivers.
a lot of folks don't know this, but ALEX Murdaugh picked that jury himself, didn't he?
He did. Defendants sometimes get the chance to do that. Sometimes they exercise their right to do that. And ALEX Murdaugh certainly did use his right to pick his own jury. My daughter almost was on the jury as well.
What does that mean? My daughter was almost on the jury. Does that mean she got a mail, a letter, and she showed up and they promptly excluded her? Does that mean she was like the last one to get cut before the jury was set? What does that even mean? And why are you even talking about it? I could say that and there's no evidence to back it up, but can you imagine how different that book would have been? How much more shenanigans there would alleged to have been if her daughter had been on the jury? Can you imagine the insight, quote unquote, she would have had if her daughter was on the jury?
Oh, wow. That would have been some insight.
That would have been a totally different story.
You wrote in your book, though, about sometimes juries come together, sometimes they don't. But you wrote that this jury was almost like a family. I mean, they were so close. Tell us a little bit about how those relationships developed and how they evolved over the course of the trial.
They bonded immediately from the time that they met back in the room, and they were all picked together on Tuesday of January. And they were prayerful. I believe I say this in my book. They were very perceptive, and they were just a pack. They stayed together. They treated each other like family. I could tell just from talking to the jurors about daily things, nothing about the trial at all. But I've been around a jury for a long time, different juries for a long time, and you get to know the layout of a jury, and just you can get a feel from how juries are going to be. And I learned that this jury, they were tight. They started every morning out with prayer.
See, now she's talking about how tight they were, how they bonded from the moment. But remember, we just read a passage where she was saying it was just like a tattletale, all these conflicts, and I was just tired of it all. Which is it? Which is it? That's two different stories she's telling.
They were very watchful. They were very perceptive in the things that they were listening to, the things they were watching during the trial, especially when we went to Moselle at the very end of the trial. That was very telling. And just by observation, I knew that the verdict was already pretty sealed.
How would you possibly, unless you communicated with jurors, how would you possibly know that the verdict had almost been sealed at that point? How would you possibly know without talking to them?
When we went to Moselle, there wasn't going to take much, and I knew it wasn't going to take long for them to come to a decision about a verdict.
Again, how would you know that? Did you tell them that? Did you suggest that to them? Did you talk to them about it and they all seem to be on the same page? How would you possibly know what the jury was thinking and how close they were to reaching a verdict and how long it would take? She is giving the defense, Murdoch's defense, a whole lot of ammunition to work with. I mean, her lawyer can make arguments as well. None of this is proven. There's no record of this happen. There's no direct evidence that any of this happens, yada, yada, yada. But she is providing Murdoch's lawyers with a huge amount of material to work with here. Brian Allman, she kind of looks like Elaine and probably about as smart. Thank you so much for the $10, Brian. She does kind of look Elaine-y. I'll give her that. JD Truth Seeker with the £2. Put a leash on her and some sort of flea treatment. Yikes, that's harsh. And I thought I'd starred the messages, but apparently I hadn't. Where people in chat were talking about the interviewer being a good guy, being the owner of Fit News, and being the first one to call out corruption. The interviewer, there's nothing against the interviewer. He's doing a great job. He's literally doing his job, promoting her and making her look good. That's his job. He's doing it. Speak.
Well, let me ask you about that field trip. That's one of the most baffling parts of this trial. It was requested by the defense attorneys. They felt that it would show logistically that Alex Murdaugh couldn't have committed the crimes of which he was convicted. But you said in the book that that was what sealed his fate. That actually worked against Murdoch. Tell us about that, Becky.
It did. The defense attorneys thought that it was going to be used in their favor. That's why I think they requested it, and Judge Newman granted it. So when we were out there on the property and walking side by side, there was hardly any conversation, no talking at all, and everyone was doing their own.
Okay, she's placed herself together, walking side by side with the jury. There was almost no talking, so there was some talking, was there? You're walking side by side with jurors, and you were talking. What were you talking about?
No talking at all, and everyone was doing their own measurements in their own way. They were walking things out, I think, going over in their mind what they had heard throughout the trial and putting it all together. It was very heavy out there that day, seeing all the jurors contemplating and in thought of what they were looking at and seeing with their own eyes. I don't think that the defense attorneys thought it would go that way.
Well, and by that time in the trial, obviously, they were subject matter experts, not only on the Murdochs, not only on all the ancillary crimes of which Alex Murdaugh stood accused, but of that crime scene. I mean, they had heard by that point weeks of testimony about what transpired on the ground they were walking. And Becky, you said they were silent, they were stoic. As you watched them at Moselle, you said that Alex Murdaugh's fate was sealed. What was it that you saw in their faces that led you to that conclusion?
Well, that's a good question. That's what we were talking about earlier. So they could just they communicated with their eyes, which is a communication. Let's see if there's some self-snitching going on here.
They were extremely serious. They knew that the decisions they were making was going to be life-changing.
But why does that necessarily mean they were finding him guilty? You can still take it seriously and know that what you're doing is life-changing if you believe that he's innocent.
For this person, named ALEX Murdaugh. They were serious about what they were doing because they knew that the verdict was going to be a heavy one to hand out. I feel like, but in their faces, it was almost as if they knew that they were going to have to come down with a verdict of guilty.
How? It's just so stupid. I'm not even mad anymore. This is just dumb as fuck. How would you know that unless you had some sort of insight, direct line of communication with these people? I bet she wishes she hadn't have done this interview.
Because to them, the evidence was there.
How do you fucking know that? How do you know? I need to be more calm. I need to have like some inner peace, like the lawyer, he watches things like this and he's just calm and relaxed and chill, giving his opinion. I get worked up because I hate when people bullshit me. I hate when people do this stuff.
It was obviously a circumstantial case, but an overwhelming amount of circumstantial evidence pointing to the guilt of ALEX Murdaugh. Becky, let's talk about the verdict in that moment. I remember being in the courtroom that night, seeing you walk by with a look on your face like it was about to happen, but you knew. You were one of the few people. We kept hearing from all these national observers that it would be weeks, that it would take forever for this jury to reach a verdict, and that they may not in fact reach a verdict, but you from the beginning had a sense of what was really going to happen. Were you surprised at how fast it was?
I was not surprised. It's called that sense, or a woman's gut. It's called that.
That's how she knew that he was guilty, and how she knew the jury was going to find him guilty quickly was because of woman's gut. It's talking about instincts. Or woman Gunt told her that, apparently. And again, she's happy to be here. Look, she's so excited to be talking about how insightful she is and how smart she is and how she knew all these things. She's been given this entire interview with a big smile on her face. She's pleased with herself. And women's intuition is the best she can come up with, or woman gut, as she explains it. That's how she knew.
That sixth sense that you may have. I was very.
Sixth sense women gut intuition is not admissible as evidence. And you're about to find that out. She's about to find out real personally that intuition and sixth sense is not admissible as evidence.
In tune with, from watching the jury, that's something that TV watchers did not have the ability to see. But those of us that were in the courtroom, we could watch the jury, we could watch their body language, we could see their faces and what expressions they had. And from hearing the different witnesses that were on the stand, we could tell that, how in tune they were with each witness. And I just felt like,
stop it.
Even though it was a lot of circumstantial evidence, they were able to put it all together and come up with the verdict that they got, and they got it right.
Well,
and they got it right because I told them how to do it, allegedly.
Let me ask you about that moment. Probably one of the most watched, most anticipated, probably for you, very stressful moments. But the moment when you read that verdict, I remember being in the courtroom, I was thinking to myself, how is she doing this? I mean, you'd been working yourself and your staff, no sleep for weeks. And here you are at this just incredibly important moment, the apex of this case, reading out the verdict. Becky, what was that moment like for you?
Okay. How much of this 15 minutes of fame did she like? Let's see how enthusiastic she is about how awesome it was to read the verdict.
It was epic.
It was epic. She has been waiting for this epic moment. She wanted to make sure this epic moment happened.
I have worked with ALEX Murdaugh and some of the other Murdoch men in the courtroom before, and I knew them on the other side of justice. I had been with them when we were all together on the side of right. And now here I was having to give the verdict of a lifetime and to read it out for ALEX. It was heartbreaking. It was something that I never thought I'd have to say out loud. It was very heavy.
You wanted to say guilty. You said that from the beginning. You said that at the
A
beginning
lot of
of the book.
heaviness in this case. And one of the other things I noted in your book, Becky, the way that you talked about the Murdoch family and the really the compassion that comes through those pages for some of the members of his family who were there in the courtroom every day, and you could really feel, you know, that relationship that you've had with them over the years and how hard that must have been. Becky, what do you think in the aftermath of this case? There was so much at stake here, really, for justice in South Carolina, for the victims in this case. But as you look at the outcome of this, the aftermath of this trial, what has stood out to you as being significant or making an impact on you?
Come back and ask me that question a
as
month
you
from
continue
now.
to do your job for the justice system down there in the South Carolina Low Country.
Well, I believe that justice was done, and I believe that the jury showed that it's not all about who you are, and it's the crime. If you commit the crime, you're going to be found out, and that justice will be served.
Oh, really?
I love reading, writing.
What have I just done? God dang it. Of all the places to click.
Potential evidence, they were able to put it all together.
Incredibly important moment, the apex of this case, reading out the verdict. Becky, what was that?
To give the verdict of
I boomered that.
a lifetime.
Yeah, it was epic.
And to read it out for ALEX. It was heartbreaking. It was something that I never thought I'd have to say out loud.
Sorry, we missed
it. It was very heavy.
A lot of heaviness in this case. And one of the other things I noted in your book, Becky, the way that you talked about the Murdoch family and the really the compassion that comes through those pages for some of the members of his family who were there in the courtroom every day, and you could really feel, you know, that relationship that you've had with them over the years and how hard that must have been. Becky, what do you think in the aftermath of this case? There was so much at stake here, really, for justice in South Carolina, for the victims in this case. But as you look at the outcome of this, the aftermath of this trial, what has stood out to you as being
all right? Let's get here. We are. We're all caught up again. Sorry,
making an impact on you, and as you continue to do your job for the justice system down there in the South Carolina Low Country.
Well, I believe that justice was done, and I believe that the jury showed that it's not all about who you are, and it's the crime. If you commit the crime, you're going to be found out, and that justice will be served. I thought
that's the interesting thing. That's what I was trying to say. It's an interesting statement that she just made there. Justice, things will come out into light. Justice will be served, and it may very well be, those words may come back to haunt her.
It was very, very telling that doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter how much money you have.
It doesn't matter if you're a clerk of court.
It sounds to me like the days of old are gone, as far as things that happen. Right is right and wrong is wrong, and it was time to pay.
It was indeed. And Becky, I got to say, the folks down there in Colleton, the jury pool that you winnowed through over that period at the beginning of the trial, all the folks there that helped oversee that trial, you guys were the ones that delivered that justice. And it was an amazing thing to watch. There's a lot of books coming out on this. Obviously, we've been seeing tweets and web pages with all this, but Becky, yours is the only one that really has this front row seat, this inside
Oh,
the
again,
minds really of
inside
those
thing.
jurors, and as this was happening. So just an incredibly unique perspective behind the walls of justice, the doors of justice. I'm sorry, behind the doors of justice.
Right.
It's available on Amazon, and we're going to put the page up here where you can access it. You've been tell us about your co-author on this real quick, Becky. You've been
Sure.
working with somebody.
Sure. Neil Gordon is the co-author, and his wife, Melissa Gordon, is the photographer who took so many pictures even before I had met her. And you can go to www.augustabusinessdaily.com, and it's very easy access to the website for Amazon.
Well, bye. And that's enough of that. All right. This last little bit here. See if we got what do we have to do here? All right. We do have some super chats backed up here. That's very, very nice. We'll get through these super chats. We'll talk about them. We'll address them, and then we'll watch our final video, which is a guy representing two of the jurors that have made the comments about Becky, and a guy representing two of the jurors that disagree with the charges that have been with the allegations that have been made against Becky Hill. But before we get there, why would she even go on the field trip? She's the jury wrangler. That's her job, is to organize those things, so to make sure they don't wander off in the forest and whatnot. So she should have been there. She just shouldn't have said a single word to them other than go here, go over there, get back on the bus. Ryoji Mata says the fact they are calling OP lawyers disgraced is petty. Yep. Can't disagree. Chaos coordinator, the 2 pounds, inner peace. That's exactly how I feel listening to this stuff. I don't know how everyone does it so calmly and cool and collectively. I'm more on Angel Australia's side of the $5 Aussie bucks. Bish, please, FFS. Eileen says, my intuition said the timeline made no sense and was implausible, but I wasn't tampering with the jury, so I guess her intuition won. A lot of intuition going on there. Thanks, Eileen. And Jillian Ann, what's up, Jillian Ann, with the $5? You know she thinks she's as important as Clarence Darrow, if she knows who that is. If she knows who that is. Yeah, she likes to be the center of attention. Clearly, she smiled through that whole thing. She did me. Her book is me. Aquamarin, thank you so much for the 2. Courtroom Karen. Courtroom Becky. Same thing as Courtroom Karen. Maybe Courtroom Beckys are worse than Courtroom Karens. I don't know. Satan is Becky's bitch. Nice try. All right. We're caught up with the chats here. Yoda's mind is blown. Yeah, Yoda's just a sack of potatoes. That's kind of it is. All right, folks. Here we go. This is the last little bit I wanted to share. And it involves a guy I only know from Twitter, a lawyer I only know from Twitter, and I don't like him. Eric Bland. Eric Bland, he's a lawyer who represents two of the jurors. He's also represented some of the victims of Alex Murdaugh's financial crimes. He hates Alex Murdaugh with a passion. He can't see anything to do with this in an objective way, from what I can see. For him, it's all about the verdict, and he did it. So why do we even care? This was a post he actually made the other day and I said, it's just because he's wrong. He's just wrong. This is Eric Bland at the press conference earlier this week. Dick Harpootlian suggested that the jury should get lawyers. How offensive is that? Why is that offensive, EB? Eric Bland thinks it's offensive that a lawyer would suggest that someone who is going to be investigated by SLED, someone who may be having to talk to the FBI, someone who's going to be probably called into court and questioned, should get an attorney. Why is that offensive? That is smart. That is an absolute intelligent thing to recommend someone, and it's a very intelligent thing to do. But no, it's just suggesting the jurors should get lawyers. If Harpootlian didn't suggest that the jurors should get lawyers, I would be upset with him. Of course they should get lawyers. How offensive is that? How threatening is that? That's not threatening at all. For Eric Bland to say that the jurors should get lawyers is threatening? No, it's common sense. Do it. Always have a lawyer. Anytime someone says, do you think I should have a... Yes, is my answer. I have to... the police want to ask me, Joe, should I get it? Yes. Well, I want to go somewhere. Do you think I should? Yes. If you think you should get a lawyer, by all means, get a lawyer. And if you don't think you need a lawyer, get one anyway. Obviously, Ms. Hill had to get lawyers and pay for them. If any juror feels like they need legal representation or just to get some advice, please feel free to call Ronnie Richter and me. We would not charge a fee for consultation or representation. That is a very noble and a very kind thing to do. The one decent thing that Eric Bland seems to have done is offer free representation to jurors. I wonder if he would still offer free representation if the jurors that think Becky Hill did something wrong came to him and asked for representation. I wonder if he'd still represent them. Only he knows the answer to that. We would not charge for the consultation or representation. It's just disgraceful that people are having to pay for legal fees in this most unfortunate situation. Well, apparently they're not, because you're offering to do it for free. That's a great thing. So you've just canceled your own argument, idiot. I'll represent anybody for free. It's a shame they don't have to do it because you just offered to do it for free. So, that's do you kids still say self-ownage? That's some serious self-ponage there. I'm sure you still say pwn, don't you? Yeah. Literally contradictory statements. It's disgraceful people are having to pay for legal fees in this but he's offered to do it for free. So you've solved the problem. Congratulations. And it is a noble thing to do. I'll give you that. I'll give you that offering to represent these people for free is a noble thing to do. That's the only good thing about your entire post. This is a classic example of a seemingly intelligent lawyer who is so blinded by his hatred for one of the people involved that he refuses to see why this is an important issue. Yes, Danielle, I know. I'm just having fun. All right, let's get on with this.
Just to get some advice, please. It's just getting those lawyers. Criminal defense attorneys representing two of the Murdoch jurors. Joe McCulloch is with us.
Joe McCulloch is representing two of the jurors that made the allegations against Becky Hill.
Great to see you tonight. Also in Columbia, South Carolina, the attorney also representing some of the Murdoch jurors and host of the Cup of Justice podcast, Eric Bland is with us. Great to see you both tonight. I wasn't expecting to be here in what's going on here. Let me start with you, Joe. Your reaction to everything that's happening here. Now you're representing jurors in this case?
Benny, I just lost you. I'm representing two jurors. That is absolutely correct. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Can you hear us, Joe?
Not getting you.
All right, so it's time for me and Eric to talk behind your back. Eric Bland, you can hear me, right?
I can.
Okay. So, Eric.
Yeah, he just looks angry
from
the get-go. You're
representing jurors now. Do you believe all the jurors will have the same testimony if they were subpoenaed or had to appear inside the courtroom to talk about any interaction or any observations of the court clerk, Becky Hill? Do you think all the jurors will be in the same boat and say, yeah, X, Y, and Z happened?
No. I can't reveal attorney-client privilege. I represent two jurors, but I am pretty sure that what you're going to hear from some of the jurors, if not most of the jurors, except the ones that Joe is representing, it is directly the opposite of what Dick Harpootlian said from the microphone on Tuesday. you know, Vinny, no matter how many times you say something or how loud you say something doesn't make it true if it's not true. And the fact that there are one or two jurors that say Ms. Hill said some things before Alex testified or allegedly made some comments about the defense attorneys is troubling. No question.
First of all, we're at 4 jurors, not only 2. But even if it's 1, if there's only 1, that still doesn't mean they're lying. It still doesn't mean that what they're saying is not true.
And it should be investigated. We can never have a situation where anybody other than the judge gives instructions to the jury. But don't be fooled here. You know, these are jurors that sat for 7 weeks and listened to the evidence. If an innocuous statement was made or some kind of offhanded comment, I am certain that 12 jurors would not have given somebody a conviction of murder and ultimately a life sentence simply because of one thing that was said.
See, this is what he fails to understand. And I called him out on it. Lots of other people have called him out on it, and he refuses to engage. You know, he's arguing that the jurors would not have reached a different verdict just because, you know, there was a comment made to them. That is not the standard, Eric Bland. The result, whether the standard is not would what she did change the verdict. It's whether she did it, full stop. Whether she talked about something inappropriate, whether she even brought up a subject that's important in trial. That's the standard. Did she do that? Not whether it would have changed the outcome if she did it. That is not the standard. Stop trying to be a disingenuous idiot on this. You are completely wrong on this standard. The question is not whether they would have changed their verdict or whether her pushing them made them change their verdict. It's just black and white. Did she say this? Not what the effect was. And I hate when he does this. It annoys the hell out of me.
When they heard evidence for 7 weeks and they saw people testify. But again, this is very serious. And Harpootlian is going after the king. And you better kill the king when you go after him, because if not, Becky Hill's going to have the best defamation case I have ever seen against Dick Harpootlian.
And see, now I like it here because the other lawyer is just about to reiterate what I just said. But he's going to do it so much better than my rant.
Go ahead, Joe.
Well, Vinny, it's so nice to be back with you. What I would say about this is that I'm fascinated at the playground that is full of the troll patrol people talking badly about so many subjects. And frankly,
the troll patrol, talking about Twitter and mass media, talking badly about subjects, meaning talking out of their asses. The troll patrol tweeting out of their asses is what he's talking about. And that's only sort of kind of not directed at Eric Bland here.
Patrol people talking badly about so many subjects. And frankly, Eric, I'm glad you got a couple of these jurors, because our responsibility is to protect the process, not the result. As lawyers, whether you agree with the guilty verdict or not, the question before us now, before the court, the fascination that is creating the need for us to be on television, it's about what happened. Becky Hill is a person who did a wonderful job as clerk of court throughout the trial in handling the press and handling the scads of people that showed up. And now we've got to find out if something else happened. And I think it's incumbent on lawyers to not be concerned about protecting the verdict.
Right.
It's about the process.
Exactly. That's where Bland is so wrong. And how he can be so blatantly blind and wrong about this is bewildering to me. It's not, as the other lawyer said, it's not about protecting the verdict. It's about protecting the process. It doesn't matter. Look at Vinny. Sorry, Vinny, I gave you a bad expression pause here. But it's not, that's not what matters. Whether the verdict is upheld or not is not the issue.
So where are we? Where are we right now? If we've got jurors who see or hear things differently, and we've got some level of a split inside this jury room, Joe. What does that mean?
Well, I'm not happy to be in the position I am representing two jurors. I was asked by the jurors originally to keep the press away from them. Things happened. I can't go into those things, but their decision to give information under oath now is a part of a record that will have to be evaluated.
Let me ask you about that, Joe. And I wanted to. Yeah. So your clients, they are the ones who signed these affidavits. Is it their sworn statement, or is it the sworn statement of someone they spoke to?
To my knowledge, two of the sworn statements by jurors are the jurors that I represent. I wouldn't reveal their names. Their juror numbers, I think, are a part of that record. The exhibits attached to the affidavits, and I think God knows the names and the connection to jury numbers is about the worst kept secret in the country right now. But they came forward reluctantly. They provided their truth. And now that becomes a part of a record that must be evaluated by the court. I mean,
exactly, Bobby.
It's the troll patrol that's out there feverishly protecting a verdict cannot be joined by lawyers. It's not our job, Eric. Our job is to protect the process. And we can only do that now by examining all of the jurors, perhaps. And
that is so eloquently put. And I love that he called him out right by name on this. That's so eloquently put. I really like this lawyer.
It's not our job, Eric. Our job is to protect the process. And we can only do that now by examining all of the jurors, perhaps. And let me say a word about jurors lawyering up. One thing I know after 47 years of practicing criminal.
I wonder how old Eric Bland is. Do you think he's older than 47? Because I just like, he's one thing I've learned in 47 years. He said that basically meaning I've been practicing law as long, if not longer, than you've been on planet Earth, Mr. Bland. Listen to me. I like the way he mentioned 47 years of practice.
First, lawyering up. One thing I know after 47 years of practicing criminal defense, part of that as a prosecutor, but now as most of the time as a criminal defense lawyer, police officers behave differently when witnesses have a lawyer. So I think the advice that they have a lawyer is good advice. I think it gives them a protection and it gives them a comfort level so that they feel free to tell the truth. That's what matters now.
Is there a sense, though, by the way this was all presented on Tuesday, that some jurors might believe like they're in trouble? Like you're in trouble, you need a lawyer?
Well, they shouldn't believe that, and maybe some of them are watching tonight. That was not, I don't think that was the purpose of Mr. Harpootlian's message, but I didn't write the script. I didn't talk to him about what he was going to say. I don't believe any member of this jury panel, at least so far as I know, is in some kind of jeopardy unless they do not tell the truth when they are asked to do so.
So here's the other part of this, Eric, right? Is that if this is happening, and I get it's different because it's the clerk and it's a different relationship than someone else speaking to a juror, I'm surprised that it wasn't brought up earlier, because that is something you would bring up to the judge, right? Wouldn't you at some point?
Yeah, I fundamentally disagree with Joe. I fundamentally disagree with Joe. We can't have a system where jurors make a decision, render a verdict, are individually polled, swore to uphold the law, in an open court say that they gave a free and just verdict without coercion or duress, and then 3 months later, whether they decide they're going to change their mind or they have...
They're not saying they're changing their mind, God damn it. They're saying that there was problems in the process. That's what they're saying. Sorry. People got my windows open. I hope nobody else does. They probably get upset with me there. He's not saying that at all. This has nothing to do with the jurors changing their minds. It has to do with saying, this is the misconduct we witnessed. This is what happened. This is what she told us. They're not trying to change the verdict. And it is absolutely he's either disingenuous or he doesn't know the facts of this case, or he's just an idiot. That's it. It has nothing to do with trying to change the verdicts. It has nothing to do with them changing their mind. But he continues to harp on this, like somehow all of this is these two jurors trying to overturn the verdict, having a change of heart. That has nothing to do with this. It has nothing to do with this.
Have a decision remorse, or they're manipulated a little bit by the defense attorneys when they're confronted. I worry about a system if we can open up the can after every major jury verdict, if one or two jurors decide to create a disturbance that has been created here, and we'll see. We'll see where it goes. But if 10 jurors say it didn't happen and 2 say it does, I think a judge is going to have to ultimately rule in favor of the prosecution. But I am worried about a system where jurors can change their minds 3 months after they are polled and said it was a free verdict.
He didn't change that. They didn't change their mind. Eric Bland, show me one piece of evidence, one suggestion that any of those 4 jurors that gave affidavits or that reported what they saw to their lawyer, to the defense lawyers, show me one piece of evidence where any of them have made even the slightest suggestion that they wish they could have changed their verdict. And I will issue the most elaborate apology on air to you that I have ever offered in my life, because I haven't seen it. Not one thing I've seen suggests that any of these jurors regret their decision, wish they could change their decision. The one that may have voted not guilty was removed just an hour or two before the deliberations began, under allegedly less than clean circumstances. But none of these people are trying to change the verdict that I've seen. They're just saying, this is what the clerk of court did. We saw her go into the single occupancy bathroom with a jury forewoman for 10 minutes to have these multiple discussions. We're told we can't ask about it. She told us this. She told us we couldn't do this. We had to do this. She told, these were the consequences. She told us not to trust the defense. He enrages me on Twitter and here in this interview.
Time in our criminal system.
And here the other lawyer says you need to spend more time in the criminal law system.
Months after they are polled and said it was a free verdict. You need to spend
more time in our criminal system. Because it happens. Jurors are not free from interference. Oh, no, absolutely. Interference never does. The question, again, is process. It's not your protection of the verdict, Eric. It is about the court now, whatever court and however the Court of Appeals determines to handle this. It's about questioning jurors. Now, let me go back to this question of why wouldn't somebody have said something during the process? Well, I can tell you why. If you've ever been stopped by a highway patrolman for whatever, you don't want to say too much because you don't know what you're going to say that's going to get you in trouble. So the very point that Vinny was asking about, are jurors in trouble? Not necessarily. I don't believe that's necessarily the case. I think that their natural being a part of a 6-week trial, seeing a judge who is the authority figure, I don't think they were going to be answering unless they were asked about things. I think that they, we'll have to see what other jurors say. We'll have to see.
Let me ask you this.
If anything happens.
Is it a problem if in this jury room, at the end of the trial, they all kind of talk to each other and say, we're not going to say anything about it? Is that a problem? Like if they said, listen, we're not, if you want to go to the Today Show or whatever, talk about we're not going to talk about what we did. Is that a problem if a jury decides that?
Well, I think the judges in our criminal cases always tell the jury, as our judge in this case did, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, now that you've reached a verdict, now that the sentencing has occurred, you have the choice to speak or not speak. Now, that choice now is a little bit different because there is.
See, and that's what he said at the beginning. He said, the two people I represent, they came to me to protect their right to not give interviews and be bothered. Well, now they've retained me to deal with this because the situation has changed and now they're going to be bothered.
This taint on the possibility of a trial that was not fair. But under normal circumstances, jurors can decline to answer, or they can go to New York on an airplane paid for by NBC and give an interview. Again, not the issue. It's questioning the process and ensuring everybody deserves a fair trial, even the worst among us. These jurors didn't come forward necessarily because they're trying to exonerate a guilty person. It's about process.
All right, Joe McCullough, Eric Bland staying with us. We're going to talk more about this, talk more about the court clerk as well. Plus, coming up next hour.
In Washington County, Utah, YouTube star and momfluencer Ruby Franke in
Please
court
don't ever say
charged
momfluencer
laid
again.
her up.
I want to thank the Colleton County Clerk of Court.
This is the state attorney general talking to Miss Betty Boo. This is the guy that calls for the SLED to investigate Betty Boo and themselves.
Or Becky Hill and her entire team and their staff. I don't know. I call her Becky Boo. That's her nickname. But Madam Clerk, wherever you are tonight,
Oh, hi, Becky Boo. Becky Boo is up here. Just let me insert myself into your press conference.
I'm sorry. That's my pet name for her. But I want to thank you, Madam Clerk, for you, the entire team, the bailiffs, the court security, the staff here. There was no role that was too small that they weren't willing to do for us.
Question by John Barris: who did she F to get her position? It's an elected position. The voters there voted her into that office.
The security team here, it was a Herculean effort by everybody, and I can't thank enough people.
And so he's literally asked SLED to investigate someone who he gives a pet name to.
That's the Attorney General of South Carolina, the head of this prosecution team. He's the boss, thanking Becky Hill after the trial. The prosecutors thanking Becky Hill after the trial. Fox News caught up with Becky Hill in Walterboro, South Carolina. Take a look.
We watched this earlier.
These jurors in the case, Joe McCullough and Eric Bland with us. So both of you, and we're down there for the whole trial. Did you personally see anything that seemed like, oh, it's a little bit off? Because what I did hear from Dick Harpootlian in his press conference was, oh, wait a minute. We knew something was going on in that jury room. Like, how does anyone know if something's going on in that jury room, right? You're not
kind of like Becky. Becky knows what's going on in the jury room. Apparently, she knows what they're thinking. So that's a good question for Becky.
Supposed to know. So did either of you? I'll start with you, Eric. Did you see anything that seemed out of the ordinary, or hear rumors of something that was happening in that jury room that was inappropriate?
I did not, and I did not personally see anything, and I didn't hear any rumors. I wasn't there as frequently as Joe was. But the fact of the matter is that, Becky was a very personable clerk of court, told some stories at the breaks. It's kind of unfair that Dick got the microphone. I have some questions about the propriety of just even.
It's unfair that he had a press conference. And that's the other thing Bland goes off on a lot today. It was somehow improper for him to call a press conference and say these things. Bland is so far out there. I don't get it. As someone mentioned earlier, he's so blinded by the verdict and sticking to it that he just can't see anything. Lost Bullets with a Canadian $5 says, the more I learn about the law, the more I realize that so many people get screwed over by the legal system. research the statistics on wrongful convictions. It'll scare you. Baloney Bong, what's up? Remember, for 10 months, Murdoch's team tried to warn us up and down that the process was corrupted, and he would know. Exactly. And John Gordon, sorry. Ric Flair here is on point. I like Ric Flair here. Ric Flair is doing a good job. And Tank Rat. This is why I watched the Law Racks. The Law Racks rant. They're epic. Yeah, I just forgot, like, all the windows are open, and if people upstairs or downstairs or side by side have their windows open, they just heard me get really agitated. So got to remember to shut the door if there's any risk of a rant coming. But thank you all for those super chats.
Doing the press conference without the AG filing anything. It wasn't in response to anything, but it is what it is. But I did take umbrage with him threatening Judge Newman that he was going to be a witness and wouldn't be able to hear this if it was remanded back once his motion to stay the appeal is heard. But there's a couple things. And again,
he didn't threaten the judge. He said the judge may be called as a witness, and he's absolutely correct. The judge is on record as saying he's upset that Becky here was interrogating a juror alone without his knowledge. There's a very good chance he could be called as a witness to talk more about that. That's all. He's not threatening the judge with any crimes or anything.
These are important allegations. I'm not diminishing those. But the allegation that a juror couldn't have a cigarette, there's no constitutional right to have a cigarette when you
Okay, yeah, you're absolutely correct. There's no constitutional right to have a cigarette while you're deliberating, but it's also not Becky Hill's fucking job to tell them they can't do it either. That's the point. You literally have six smokers battling a drug addiction, battling drug withdrawals, and you are the one that gets to decide whether or not they get a smoke break. That's the judge's decision. Not Becky's to make, not Becky's to lord over them. It's not Becky's decision. There is no constitutional right, but she doesn't have the right, power, or authority to make that decision for the judge either, Eric.
Deliberate in a jury room. It's a privilege. It's not a right. So I didn't see anything. I have not heard anything. When I heard last Friday that there was going to be this press conference was the first thing I heard about any jury issues. But Joe certainly was closer to the pulse than I was, so he may have heard more than anybody else.
Joe, did you notice anything yourself? Did you hear things? Because it seems like Dick Harpootlian did, and this is the result.
Benny, I was there every day for 6 weeks. I watched the jury's faces. I watched the process. I did only hear after the jury visit to Moselle, there were some questionable conversations. I didn't get any more information about that. I obviously was not there, so I didn't know anything about that.
Wait, let me follow up on that 1 second. So conversations at the Moselle property?
Some kind of interaction between all I heard through that proverbial grapevine is there were some conversations between court officials and jurors as they moved about. Well, that was a kind of a logistical nightmare. They wanted to protect the jury from outside influence. They took them there in a van. They allowed them to walk freely. The interaction of court officials with them to say, do you need to go to the bathroom perhaps, or do you want to walk over here? I mean, I didn't have any problem with that particularly. And what I heard through that grapevine was hardly a smoking gun. And let me say again, the job that Becky Hill did through this trial was extraordinary. And I hope at the end of this process that, somehow everything works out fine for her. She did one hell of a job under the worst of circumstances. All these people coming together, all this attention. And again, it's unfortunate that we find ourselves here.
Well,
But
and
we
a lot
are
of that
here.
has to do with, and it seems from what Dick Harpootlian said as well, and Jim Griffin, it all comes back to the book that Becky wrote. So I wanted to read this letter that Becky had sent to the South Carolina State Ethics Commission. And this is in April 28th. Good morning, Courtney. My name is Rebecca Hill, and
Okay, I said we were going to talk about this here. This is right here because it doesn't say what she thinks it says. And again, left out some very important facts.
I'm the clerk of court in Colton County. I have a question about the writing of a book by a clerk of court about the process of trial from beginning to end, focusing on the process itself, the history of it, and of course, the high-profile cases that South Carolina's had.
Okay, see, it's a general book by a clerk of court about the process of a trial, how you get from point A to point B in a trial, and focusing on high-profile cases. She did not say, "I'm writing a book. I am the clerk of court, and I am in charge of the ALEX Murdaugh trial, and I'm going to write a book about the ALEX Murdaugh trial." What I noticed and what the jury is thinking. And she didn't say any of this. She made it look like she's writing a textbook of sorts. This is a very disingenuous statement. This is not reality here. This is not what she was doing. She was not writing about a process of trial. She was writing about her experiences dealing with the highest profile trial in the history of South Carolina, perhaps. This is not an accurate description.
What would be the ethic procedures behind this? And then this is the response on May 2nd. Does the opportunity for the activity arise as a result of your position as clerk of court? Is the subject matter of the work something within your official responsibility? Is this type of work something that the clerk of court's office would normally perform?
Now let's look at this. Let's look at this three-pronged test that's being set out here and see what you all think about whether or not she meets any of these requirements. Does the opportunity for the activity arise as a result of your position as clerk of court? Yes. The opportunity to write this story about the inside look into the Murdoch trial only arises because she is the clerk of the court. If she was sitting out in the gallery as just Joe Schmo, she wouldn't be asking for an ethics opinion, and it would have nothing to do with her position as whatever her job may be. So she has to answer yes to first question. The second question, is the subject matter of the work something within your official responsibility? Yes, the subject matter is the Murdoch trial and her role in it, with the job she performed, what she did. The subject matter of the work is literally her official responsibility. She talks about what she did in her capacity as the clerk of court. She has to answer yes to that question the way I read it. And three, is this type of work something that the clerk of court's office would normally perform and for which you could receive expense reimbursement by the clerk of court office? Is this work something that she would normally perform? No. Okay, I think that's a no question. Yes, I'm sorry, I read that wrong. That is a yes. I thought he meant is writing the book. Talking about is the type of work, the subject matter of the work, is the type of work that she's talking about in the book something that the clerk would normally perform? Yes. If the answer to all of these questions are yes, then writing the book would be within your official capacity, and it would be impermissible for you to receive compensation for writing the book. Now, to me, that I think she has to answer all of these questions yes. The opportunity to write the book arose as a result of her position of clerk of court. The subject matter of the work, the subject matter of the book, is something within her official capacity? Yes. And is this type of work? See, again, I go back and forth. Now that I read it, like work could be talking about the book. But But let's continue. See what. Let me know what you guys think. Does she? Let's do a quick Insta poll here. How many people do we have here in the oldie chat? We've got 1,162 people watching right now. Do a quick thing here. Do you think she has to answer yes to all of these questions, or does she get to answer no to some of these questions? Doesn't matter which one. One for all yeses, one for not all. That was dumb, wasn't it? One for all yeses, two for not all yeses. So if you think she has to answer yes to every one of these questions, put a 1 in chat. If you think she gets to answer no to at least one of the questions, put a 2 in chat. Strong ones out of the gate. Well, the ones have it so far. There's a couple of 2s. See, I can see the argument for the 2s. Yeah, 5-3. You're not helping. Well, it looks like the 1s are in the majority here so far, but 69 is catching up to 1 pretty quickly because you're degenerate.
And for which you could.
All right. So if the answers to all of these questions are yes, then writing the book would be within your official capacity and be impermissible for you to receive compensation for writing the book, in the opinion of the commission staff. This is where it does, because people say, "Oh, this gives her approval." They said it's okay for her to write the book. I don't think so. They said if, so in the opinion of the commission staff, it seems unlikely that writing the book would fall within your official responsibilities as clerk of court. It seems unlikely. Doesn't mean it's not. It just means it seems unlikely. However, you will have to make that ultimate determination based on your official duties and the guidelines offered above. It's like we don't think it will based on what you've told us, but you have to make the ultimate decision. And notice how, again, I'm changing every time I read this letter, I have a different opinion. It's not saying is it unethical to write it. It's saying is it unethical to get paid for it. They're addressing pay, not whether she's allowed to write the book. So if you answer yes to all of the questions, then you get paid. It would be if you answer yes, it would be impermissible. You can't get paid. But if the answer to any of the above questions is no, then the work is not part of your official capacity and you can get paid. You may receive compensation for authoring the book as long as you adhere to the commission's guidelines on off-duty employment. And they're saying in the past they've allowed off-duty employment if no public materials or equipment are utilized. Such work is engaged in on the employee's own time and doesn't interfere with the work of they do for the agency. And where's number 3? There's not a 3 here. And 4, the public position is not utilized to obtain or continue the appointment. So I think they're saying she can get paid to do this based on what
expense reimbursement
that's my current
by the clerk of court's office. If the answers to all of these questions are yes, then writing the book would be within your official capacity and it would be impermissible for you to receive compensation for writing the book. In the opinion of the commission staff, it seems unlikely that writing a book would fall within your official responsibilities as clerk of court. However, you will have to make that ultimate determination based upon your official duties, guidelines above. If the answer to any of the questions above is no, then the work is not within your official capacity and you may receive compensation for authoring the book so long as you adhere to the commission's guidelines on off-duty employment. So it seems like she got cleared ethically to write this book. What are your thoughts about her actually writing the book?
Yes.
Eric?
Again, she didn't get cleared by the ethics panel to make money. They said it appears unlikely that you're going to have any problems getting paid, but you have to make the ultimate decision. So they kind of put it back on there. As Nicholas Darov here says, Ethics Commission covering their asses in that answer and leaving the responsibility in her hands alone. By the way, I sent you an article on Twits. Okay. I hope it's like about Twits and not like on Twitter. I know what you mean. Let's see, where are we at here? You sent me a message. Aha, you did. Uh-huh. All right. There's another little, we have another little quickie here. It's a long article. Wow. All right. Basically, it says that Becky Hill is denying the allegations against her. She's apparently come out and said that she didn't do it. On Thursday, Hill maintained her innocence and denied all the allegations to the Hampton County Guardian, but declined to comment further on the matter. Co-author, we heard from him. All right. All right. So there we go. That. Thank you so much for sending that article and giving me a live update. And Catherine Fraser has been a member for 2 months, says, I think Newman is going to be upset with the jurors not coming to him with their concerns. Yeah, he might be. And again, they might go, well, we didn't think he'd do anything. He lets all the evidence in. So why would he do anything? Who knows? Rosie, new member. Thank you so much, Rosie. So deeply appreciated. And Rosie, given a £5 super chat. The type of work is the subject matter of the book, surely. I think it's just the book. It's the book itself. Now that I read it closely about 5 times here, the work is the book itself. But it's about her performing her role as COC at the trial. That is where I think the non-disclosure of what the book was really about is problematic. Based on what she said, like the way it was presented, it's like it's a textbook. We're talking about about multiple high-profile cases, the process of trial from beginning to end. That sounds like a B9 sort of a textbooky sort of thing. But if they would have gone in and said, I'm the clerk of court. I was clerk of court for this trial. I presided over it, and I want to write a book on things that happened in the judge's chambers off the record, things that I noticed about the jury and how the jury behaved and what they did. I think there's a possibility that the ethics committee may have come back and said, the subject matter of your book is improper because of your position. I think that's a possibility. Because the way she described the book to the ethics committee and what she actually wrote are seemingly very different things. And I think that now again, I've changed my mind for the 5th time on that letter. I think that's more where the problem is, that she did not say truthfully exactly what that book was about.
I would have preferred that she would have waited until the appeal was over. You never know with these cases. Obviously, the 404B character evidence was a hotly contested issue, which is going to be up on appeal, and there is a possibility that it could be reversed. And so I would have preferred that the court officials would have waited to, write a book. I'm certainly going to be waiting to hear what happens with Judge Newman if there's a retrial. Was his interview that he gave to the Today Show something that could disqualify him? So, I think Joe and I are in agreement on that everybody should have waited, that are clearly elected officials or court personnel, people like Joe or me or anybody else. No, we can write a book, but people who are on the government payroll, it's a different story. So I would have preferred she waited.
Joe, are you in agreement there? Are you okay with this book being written?
I've been teaching entertainment law at our law school in Columbia for 34 years.
Vinny, I got to punch out. All right. I'm sorry.
Yep. Eric, thanks so much.
So I know a little bit about the subject matter. And I mean, from my opinion, I think she had the right to write a book. I'm sure she didn't do it on company time, as we say. I'm sure she didn't use resources of her office to do it. I think she's got the right to write the book.
All right. All right.
Okay,
Well,
I'll-
this thing is going
I'll
to develop.
defer to
My
him
guess
on that.
is, there'll be
A local lawyer.
perhaps a hearing, and I'll have to come back down to the Low Country and hang out with you, Joe.
Well, come on. I just hope that people will keep in contact with the patrol, because it's starting now. Some of it's against Becky Hill. Some of it is against jurors. My job is very simple: to protect the two jurors I represent.
And we know they're in good hands. We know they're in good hands, Joe.
Criticism. Thank you.
Joe McCall.
All right. That's where we wrap things up, it looks like. Spin this camera around one more time. Try not to freeze it. Don't want to wiggle any of the wires loose, so we can get some final Yoda-isms here. Yoda trying to tunnel through his bed. Just getting ready for some bullfighting. Oh, there you go. I fell down. What's up, Yoda? All right. Yeah, Yoda does move a few seconds a day. All right, everybody. That brings us kind of up to date here, and especially with Nicholas Wistarov's update on her denying the allegations. At least she said something. Shh. We'll play in just a second. Give me a minute. So yeah, thank you all for being here so much, and mods. Appreciate everything you've done. People in chat, please. The Vice Squad chat is the greatest chat ever. Please, please, please accept my gracious and humblest thanks that I can possibly give you for sticking around here and for watching this. We've got 1,142 people here right now. We've got over 1,000 likes for this. That is a huge ratio. We've got 1,084 likes. We're like 16 likes away from 1,100 likes. Let's just give 1,100 likes, because that'd be super. And we've got 22 members from this stream, thanks in large part to Tank Rat. Here's what's coming up. Tomorrow is the usual cast of characters doing a dramatic reading. We're picking up our dramatic reading of the Johnny Depp Amber Heard sidebars. We will do that tomorrow and Wednesday. And then Thursday, Chandler Remington and I will be doing our O.J. Simpson retrospective that we do every Thursday. And Friday will be our F It Friday stream, where I just grift for lots and lots of money. We basically, it's our monthly lighthearted, huge panel drink for money celebration. So we can get all the grifting out in one day, and we don't have to keep harping on it for the rest of the month. Panel is starting to come together. People are requesting their places at the table, and other invitations are being sent out. So we should have our first guest list, our first preliminary guest list sometime tomorrow or today, I guess, depending on where you live. Yoda's having an episode here. Yoda's just having a minute. All right, we got the 1,100 likes. You guys are so awesome. Yoda, what the hell are you doing? Stupid dog. All right, so now what we're going to do now is I'm going to look on over here on YouTube and see who's streaming right now that we can send you all to. Let's see. We need to go to my YouTube studio. Hang tight, folks. We'll send you over to someone who's probably more entertaining than me. Content. Snort. Right. Customization. Redirect. Who do we have to redirect to? Oh, many people. DUI guy is live. Uncivil law is live. Law of self-defense is live. Radix Verum. The kidnapping plot for FBI's Governor Whitmer. We're going to send you over to Radix Verum because she is doing the Lord's work with this. Final trial, day 13, preparing to travel. Let's all go over to Radix Verum, let her know that we sent you, and get some of this information on the Governor Whitmer kidnapping plot and the shenanigans and bullshittery that's going on with the FBI in that case. Join me tomorrow And my panel of guests that's scheduled to, what are you doing, Yoda? Scheduled to include me, Ozzy Overlord, Chandler Remington, and Megan Fox as we do dramatic reading of Amber Heard and Johnny Depp's sidebars. Until then, I'm Legal Vices saying whatever you do, always make sure you enjoy your legal vices. Right, Yoda? Right. Lorax out.